What is going on, everybody? Dalton, welcome back.
Shalom, my homies.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to have some fun today. I hope everybody's having a great day. We have, obviously, lots of Christians who make a lot of claims. They claim that Jesus was the Messiah. And so we're going to have some callers hopefully call in and defend that idea, show us why we're wrong, give us the evidence. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Can't wait to see what they got to tell us. Maybe I'll be, who knows, maybe by the end of the stream, I'll be a Christian if they get good arguments for us.
maybe, right? Good to see everybody in the chat. Everybody hit that like button, share this bad boy out there, drop a comment, of course, and we'll get the party started. So, Dalton, before we start, did you want to cover anything? Did you want to mention anything before we put out the fillers and let Christians be able to call in?
Only that, everyone make sure you tap that screen, share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends, with your enemies. Tap that screen like Jonathan wanted to tap King David.
Already getting a super chat in the house. Kevin Smith says support for Dalton. Awesome. Kevin, you rock. Thank you. I think we got a member over here on MythVision 2. George, thank you so much, George, for joining, becoming a member. Really appreciate that. Look, super chats also interrupt. We take them throughout. I don't think we need to wait, Dalton. If a caller calls in, you can interrupt the caller. And at some points when a caller gets so annoying, I don't mind super chats muting really rude call-ins. Like, I know a lot of people who get annoyed. They're like, hey, I'll super chat to silence him. Here's $5. Mute him for 5 minutes. I kid you not. That's something our buddy Mega Bloodbath does on his channel as well. So thank you so much. Appreciate that, Taco, for being here. Hope you get that the channel figured out, bro. All right. I'm going to pin this on my side. Did you already pin it on yours?
Pen it? I don't know what that means.
Did you peg the link on your
comments? Oh, yeah. Everyone's already found it. Yeah, it goes through automatically on my Discord.
So you're to call in through StreamYard.
Here. Where's the link to that at? It's the same link that you sent me?
Yes, it is.
All right. Will do.
Absolutely. There we go. I put it in the chat for Christians, and I'm replacing the pinned because I was just giving you support, hoping people go subscribe. We got to get those numbers up on your YouTube channel. So while I'm pinning those, I hope people will take the time to go and subscribe to Dalton the Bible Guy on YouTube. Go be part of his community. Check him out. Great guy, and he's doing good things. All right, pin, replace pinned comment. All right, now I replaced it. So here is your YouTube channel for those who are watching on MythVision. Make sure you go subscribe to the Bible Guy. I really do appreciate you showing love to the community. And then also we have courses if you're interested in taking your learning to the next level. We have a lot of academic courses on mvp-courses.com. Check them out. My wife's working hard trying to get some scholarship in front of people's eyes. Mute the asshole just paying in advance. Kevin Smith.
Oh, and also there's another one here from Victor. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
I missed it. Sorry, Victor. I didn't see it. I was looking away from the screen and came back. That's great. That is great. Yeah, Victor. I love that movie. Old, but good. Very, very good.
I love those oldies. They're the comedies from that time period. So British humor is so good.
It really is. Blessed are the cheese makers. All the good little things. The Simon of Cyrene running with the cross.
We're not the Judean People's Front. We're the People's Front of Judea.
So good. Even the whole Jehovah. Oh, stone him. All of those episodes. Mr. Morpheus in the house. Support from my bro Dalton. Let's go. Good to see Morpheus. Absolutely. Nobody's called it yet, but it'll be cool to get a Christian who, can come on and convince us that he is the Messiah. We don't think he is.
Guys, I used to be a hardcore Christian, and I wanted to convert Jewish people to Jesus. So I used to watch debates between pastors and rabbis, and well, as it turned out, the rabbis were just correct. I couldn't defeat their arguments, and I don't think any Christian is going to be able to do so today. But if you think you can, you're more than welcome to call on up and like show us that we're wrong. I would love to see that we're wrong.
It's interesting you say that, because I was just prepping for the show a little bit. I thought about what the Messiah is supposed to do. And one of those things is, bringing back, reuniting Israel, the 12 tribes.
Oh yeah.
And that hasn't happened,
it has not. But the Christians, they'll tell me, well, it's in the process of happening right now, because Jewish people have, like, since 1948 have started flocking back to Israel. But guys, a prophecy is not fulfilled until it's fulfilled. Until then, the state of Israel is not the fulfillment of any prophecies.
Nope, it is not. I did pin it, I believe, on my end. Yeah, should be pinned. Yep. So it's pinned on both sides. Someone was asking for the number. It is pinned in the comment section on YouTube. So if you're trying to call in, defend Jesus being the Messiah, feel free to do so. We were looking at Isaiah 53, and that's like one of the big go-tos.
The crown jewel of Christian apologetics.
Yes. Why do you think that is?
That, it's probably because it's one of the longest passages that they quote. Most Bible prophecies that Christians quote are going to be like a verse here and a verse there, here a little, there a little. But like Isaiah 53 is like a whole chapter, and they think that it points to Jesus because, of course, also the crucifixion is like the centerpiece of Christian theology. So a prophecy about the crucifixion, is like really big deal to them. How many Christians today do you think we're going to have who are going to try to cite rabbinic literature that they don't actually believe in?
I don't know. That's a good question, because I don't think that, were they quoting it last time we had this kind of call?
I always get at least one caller who tries to come up and leans on the rabbis as like, well, the rabbis believed Isaiah 53 was about the Messiah, as if that, like, if I were Jewish, that might be a motivator, but I'm not Jewish. And so like what rabbis half a millennium later than the authors of Second Isaiah wrote and believed about the text of Second Isaiah is completely irrelevant to me as an individual.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only person I know that was really quick to use rabbinic literature is someone like Michael Brown. He tries to navigate those waters to use it to his advantage, but he's the only guy I know who tries to do that using, like, to get Jesus to be the Messiah.
I have a couple of callers who attempt to do that here every now and then. Actually, I have a really funny book on my shelf somewhere. It's called The Orthodox Jewish Bible. And it's not Orthodox Jewish. It's a Christian Bible that inserts Hebrew and Yiddish slang into the text in order to make it more appealing to a Orthodox Jewish audience. And they'll also include not only references to the Hebrew Bible, but little insertions of like certain tractates from the Talmud.
Okay, so you're ready. You're ready. We have a Simeon Urchin.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, just picked up a free copy of Exodus by Leon Uris. If y'all have read it, so you think it's worth the read? I've seen very, very, very mixed reviews. I haven't read that.
I also haven't read this this book. Exodus, Leon Uris.
Yeah.
And what was this, like a?
It looks like a novel. So it's it's a historical novel by American novelist Leon Uris about the founding of the state of Israel, beginning with the compressed retelling of the voyages of 1947 immigration ship Exodus, describing the history. So I've never heard of this. I have no clue.
If it's not about the biblical Exodus, I don't know anything about it. I'm just gonna put it out there, guys.
Yeah, if it's some modern kind of by the way, you got to be careful navigating those waters too. Like even like modern, no, this is what really happened. This is how it really went down in history. Or people might even just say, just read the history. And I talk to historians all the time, and they tell me, Dalton, they say, there is no just read the history. You have to go and weigh out the primary sources. You have to literally understand the biases of the people who are making the arguments in those. Like, it's not as just straightforward as just read the history. It's much messier than that. And I hear that easily thrown out all the time. But yeah, I have no clue about it. I'm sorry. I wish I could say more.
This is not a super chat, but it is an interesting comment. Jesus was never anointed king. His followers just gave him a spiritual crown. And that's true. Like Jesus is no more a king than like Menachem Mendel Schneerson was a king. Like the followers of the Rebbe refer to him as the Melech HaMashiach, the King Messiah. And if the Rebbe isn't a king, then Jesus of Nazareth certainly wasn't either.
Well said. We got Sir Game a lot. Thanks for the super chat. When Dalton enters, I smashed the like button like Vespasian did to Judea. Oh my God.
Oh, Sir Game a lot. You are clever.
Very, very clever. Thank you for the super chat. That's funny. No callers, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Christians, like apparently there are 365 prophecies that Jesus fulfilled.
Is it that's kind of a precise solar calendar number. I don't know. Is it exactly that?
So here, wait a minute.
Yeah, because
there's a website that I look at, 365 Jesus prophecies. It's from it's from a website called Hope, Faith, Prayer, and it is a list of 365 Old Testament prophecies fulfilled in Jesus Christ. And here's how they get away with it. Sometimes like number 7 and number 8 are both from, and number 9 are all three from Genesis 14:18. And they make the claim that, oh, okay, he a priest after Melchizedek, a king also, the Last Supper foreshadowed. So that's 3 in one prophecies in one verse.
Oh my gosh. So they're trying to make more numbers than there really are in their own estimation.
Yeah, because if bigger numbers mean something is true.
Yeah, I did a video on this a while back where me and my friend Steven actually he helped write the script where he highlights they conflate, like a lot of those prophecies become more than one. They count them to make the number so much higher. Oh, who could ever fulfill? Do you remember that back when we were Christians? They said fulfilling the prophecies of Jesus, one man fulfilling all of those prophecies would be like covering the whole state of Texas in gold coins, and then you paint one gold coin red or something, and you blindfolded and you walk the whole state of Texas, and then just randomly bend over and pick up the one red coin, and it's the one. That's how statistically improbable. Like, what?
Yeah, I did hear that analogy a few times growing up. And you know what's funny is that a lot of these aren't even prophecies either. A lot of them are just typology, which isn't really prophecy. It's somewhat related. In fact, guys, I have for anyone who's interested, I have a video up on my channel where called Typology Debunked, and where I go into why it is that typology is not really all that convincing of an argument, mostly because we have good reason to believe that the gospel authors are more than willing and okay with changing facts about the life of Jesus in order to make him fulfill types and shadows of the Old Testament.
Absolutely. Most modern critical scholars, I've got a couple back here. Obviously, you know this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He talks about typology, which is kind of like saying mimesis. It's imitation. And all they're doing, and he highlights that there's 2 factors. One is the authors are purposely writing fiction from older stories. So they're just recycling the biblical stories and making Jesus appear greater. And then the other is that there were real people who were delusional enough to actually believe that things were going to happen. You go read Josephus, the signs, prophets, and whatnot. and they went to the Jordan River saying they're going to split the Jordan River, and nope, their head gets cut off by, a leader at the time, stopping their movement from going forward. And that is a form of typology, but in a way of like trying to imitate. But it's nothing like the actual scriptures where Joshua really fulfills these things. Supposedly they don't. They get killed. They get squashed in the act of trying to imitate the biblical prophets. It sucks.
Yeah, like for example, one of the ways in which we know the biblical authors are more than willing to change the Jesus stories. One of my favorites to point out is the time and date of Jesus's crucifixion. In the Synoptic Gospels, it's all on the 15th of Nisan at 9 a.m. But the author of John, he's got this theological bend that he wants to say, oh, Jesus is the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. So we change Jesus's time and date of his death to the 14th of Nisan in the afternoon in order to like correlate with the Passover's slaughtering. So like if they're willing to change that fact about Jesus' life in order to make a typology fulfilled, what's to stop the other biblical authors from doing the same? In fact, I think you're probably familiar with Zechariah 9:9 and how Matthew makes an addition to Mark's story in order to make Jesus ride on Jerusalem on 2 donkeys instead of just the one. Yeah.
That's a really good point that you bring up. Like, which day is it for real? If you're going to take it so historically reliable, is it the synoptics? Well, that would mean that John is wrong in terms of the day. If you're taking this literally, you're going to run into a real problem. I love the Matthew stuff because at first I thought, okay, he just contradicts because he misunderstood the Hebrew parallelism, right? Where you're talking about Zechariah. Yeah. And that's still on the table. I'm not knocking it. Let me just highlight something else that's interesting that most people miss. When you go through reading Matthew, you find out Matthew has this thing for doubling up everything. So if you go to Mark, Jesus goes to the demoniac, right? And he heals the demoniac, one dude.
And Matthew has 2.
Donkeys, 2. When you get to the scene with Barabbas, in Mark, the guy's name is Barabbas.
And in Matthew, it's Jesus Barabbas.
Jesus Barabbas.
So now there's 2 Jesus, sons of the Father.
Bingo. And so he doubles up what he uses often. Not always, but he doubles up a lot of things. And so Matthew's clever in adding. And then if you ask the Christians, well, how many were there for real? They just go, there were 2 all along. It's just Mark says only 1 and Luke's only mentioning 1 of the 2.
Johanan in the comment section is very loud, and yet they haven't called in, which would lead me to believe that Johanan doesn't have any arguments for Jesus being the Messiah. Johanan, slave of Christ, I'm calling you out. That's my Texas.
Oh my goodness. Is that it's up above. Okay. You have no epistemology. Jesus proved he was the fulfillment of the law. It's not that complicated. Believing Jesus is the Messiah is based on reason. Like if I threw that back and just used an outsider test of faith and said, really? Do you think that believing in Muhammad as the last prophet is, based on reason? Why are they saying phone number? Elijah's saying phone number. There's a link pinned in the comments here. VVV. This is Christians who are going to, convince us that Jesus is the Messiah.
Yes, everyone click on if you want to call in, click on the link. Come on in and let's have that conversation. I think I want to do I think would be a really interesting thing to do for me at one of these days is I would love to find all the ways that Muslims use the same exact tactics that Christians use in order to put Muhammad into the Old Testament. Because they do. There will be passages where it mentions desires, Mahmadim, in the Hebrew, and they'll say Mahmadim. That's a reference to Muhammad because it's the same root. It's not. Muhammad means to praise, but also it's in the plural. So like that's the same links that Christians go to. Steve Evans says, hi Duncan. Hi, St. Evans.
Hey, what's up, St. Evans? Hey, no, you're right. Did you ever hear about the recent video I did with a scholar who highlighted that name Muhammad, if you will, is older, 500 BCE? They have these inscriptions in southern Arabia, it's a deity that is named that. And
really?
yeah, it doesn't prove Muhammad is like fiction necessarily, okay? Because look at Christians in the second, third century AD named Dionysus. They're pagans, or their parents were pagans and they converted. I'm just using pagan for a short term to say non-Jews. And they become Christians. Doesn't mean they didn't exist and that they're the true vine or something, But I do find it interesting. The significance of the prophet himself is named the praised one. And that does go back to a God's name. It's fascinating.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I've never heard that before. Love that. Yeah, so what's this over here? He showed Judaism was corrupt and no longer worthy of God's kingdom. Israel Christians became the spiritual Israel, God's kingdom. Muhammad attempted to copy it due to Nestorian influence. Well, I mean, sadly, though, the Hebrew Bible says that God would never, ever replace the children of Israel. So that point's mute. Someone else said Jesus is God. Listen, he's not even the Messiah. If he's not the Messiah, he's certainly not God.
Agree. We super duper. Got a super duper by Morpheus. Thanks so much, Morpheus. Love you, man. Please explain Isaiah 11 through 12 felled. 10 tribes disappeared, so they can't return if there's no one to return. You want to share your screen?
Yeah, here. Let me. It's been so long, I forgot how to do that already.
Little plus symbol in the bottom.
Right. Okay, I see. Let's see. Add item. Would it be under media shot?
Go under the little computer screen with the plus, and then hit share screen. And then you'll want to go.
Oh, I see.
Under window.
Is. Yeah.
Look under window. Click on the. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Fantastic. Yeah. Isaiah 11 verses what they say 11 through 12.
Yes.
On that day, the Lord will again raise his hand to recover the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the coastlands of the sea. He will raise a signal for the nations and will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So I understand what this person is saying, that because the fact that the northern 10 tribes, they have been so heavily assimilated, there is no real way of like calling back the 10 tribes. But I guess like a Christian could just like invoke magic that, oh, God knows who's actually a descendant of those 10 tribes, so he could call back the descendants who aren't even aware of the fact that they're Israelites. So magic is the ultimate cop-out.
It ends up becoming exactly that. It does. In fact, what's interesting about that is I believe it's in Ezra. I know Ezra and Nehemiah. I'll try to find the verse for you. But in Ezra and Nehemiah, there's a passage that talks about the return, the returnees, and it uses the term Israel, like as if the whole collective Israel, by the author's understanding, is returning. So they've recontextualized the term Israel. Kind of like if I ask you who's Israel, you go, it's Jacob. Duh, it's the ancestor. And I go, yeah, but who's Israel? You go, it's the land. Duh. Yeah, well, yeah, but who's Israel? It's the 10 northern tribes, not Judah and Benjamin. Yeah, but who's Israel though? Oh, it's the 12 collective, tribes. You notice Israel becomes like different terms at different times. And Ezra and Nehemiah, according to like John Collins and others, highlights that when they returned after exile, the only tribes that returned were Benjamin, some of the Levites, of course, and Judeans, right? Judah. And these were called Israel, as if they had returned. So it seems like different Jews had different ways of trying to understand or reconcile the problem. That's how it seems.
Oh, you know what's really okay? Look at this. This one's good here. Laurel. I don't know if Laurel is like trolling us or not, because Zechariah 13, 4-6. If you really want that to be about Jesus, that's kind of not good for your position as a Christian. You don't want that to be about Jesus. In fact, I remember back in the day, when I was in high school, someone gave me this audio tract from Sid Roth from It's Supernatural, and Sid was like, yes, this passage is about Jesus, and out of context, the verses here in chapter 13, verse 6. And if anyone asked him, what are these wounds? And in the NRSV, he says, on your chest, but it's literally in between your hands. What are the wounds in your hands? They will answer me, the wounds I received in the house of my friends. And they go, oh, that's Jesus, the one who received the wounds in the house of his friends. But if you read the context, the person in question is a false prophet and is denying being a prophet. Verse 4, on that day, the prophets will be ashamed, every one of their visions when they prophesy. They will not put on a hairy mantle, sounds like someone we know, in order to deceive, but to teach them. But each of them will say, I am no prophet. I am a tiller of the soil. The land has been my possession since my youth. And if anyone asks them, what are the wounds in between your hands? They will answer, the wounds I received in the house of my friends. So you don't want Zechariah 13 to be about Jesus unless you are willing to say that Jesus was a false prophet.
Which is what he was. But, I mean, that's what it appears all the evidence points toward him being apocalyptic and thinking the end was going to happen soon. I think that's the best interpretation of him in terms of eschatology, is that he really did think the end was going to happen soon. Now, some people questioned, can we even know that about him? Which just makes it even harder, because it's like, we shouldn't be so reliant upon the material we call the New Testament.
Oh, Laurel did say, I want to say Jesus was a false prophet, though. So there they go. Yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
We often joke that there are only two prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, and that would be Zechariah chapter 13, verse 6, and also Deuteronomy chapter 13, where God says, I will send false prophets to test you.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how it's almost a self-fulfilling thing? Now, we're saying that from a non-religious standpoint, but the religion itself teaches you to watch out, because there's going to be false prophets. And if false prophets or people who pretend to be prophets come up, it proves your religion. But what's funny is Islam does the same thing. There's a Quranic passage that says something like, there will be false prophets, there will be, and it's like, it proves Islam true to Muslims. Like, Christians don't notice that, but it's interesting.
Man.
All right, let me see. We haven't got a single. I mean, it's been what, 30 minutes?
30 minutes. They're terrified. They're terrified to come up. I would be too. If I saw that the Bible guy was coming up to talk about Bible prophecy. This is my bag, y'all. This is the thing that that I love doing. And they seem to be maybe they've smartened up, or maybe they're all convinced that Jesus was the Messiah. We've done it. We've deconverted all of them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I text you and I said, hey, let's do an episode. What do you think about this topic? You're like, I love that topic. That's my topic.
Alessandro said, can I call you? Yeah, Alessandro, the link has been pinned. You can call into the StreamYard. Let's see. The link is pinned up there, so you are more than welcome to call in and have a chat with us, and we can talk about whether or not Jesus fulfilled some prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
What is the topic? I'll call in, says Christina Parker. The topic is Jesus did not fulfill any messianic prophecy. Not a one. He didn't fulfill one prophecy, guys. Click on the Christians call. Yeah, click on the Christians call over the comment input box, Kyle. I believe the Judean people tried to sacrifice Yahshua. It's actually pronounced Yeshua with an E, not an A, to Yahweh, which stopped the end because Yahshua ran away. He survived the crucifixion and was carried away after his wife Mary and his son Judah. I think that was what they meant to say. Well, no. The Judean people did not intend for Jesus to be a sacrifice. They intended for him to be executed by the Romans. And whether or not Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and had a son named Judah is entirely dependent on whether or not the Talpiot tomb is is true. The pronunciation Yeshua is debatable. It's not the letter. It's the shva. The shva is underneath the yud, and the shva makes a very slight e sound. It doesn't make a kamatz, an ah sound.
Yeah, I would love to just be able to verify, because I'm close friends with James Tabor. And if we could get the Talpiot tomb, like get more vindication somehow that this really was the guy. Everyone's stuck with having to believe in a spiritual resurrection. I think what Paul had in mind, likely to begin with. But what would that do, to like most Christianity that they believe, how they believe?
Catholics certainly couldn't cope with it because the physical resurrection is dogma. And according to Catholic theology, dogma cannot be changed. So people would probably, if they were convinced by it, would have to leave like Catholicism and Orthodoxy. But I think Christianity would live on. It would just live on in a more, well, like you said, a spiritual form.
Morpheus says, MythVision podcast, why doesn't any gospel writer mention Paul or his works at all? That's a good question.
I think that they don't reference Paul himself, but I do think they pull on his works. Like, for example, Paul is the first person who writes about the Last Supper event. And he says that it's something he received in a vision, so not from one of the apostles. So whoever is writing the Gospel of Mark, I think, is drawing upon that tradition from Paul's vision to create the narrative of the Last Supper.
I think you're right. I think there's really good reason to think that is a visionary explanation. Some scholars do think, it's somehow handed on from the tradition, but Paul seems kind of allergic to that in the way that he presents it in Galatians 1, right? Someone said MythVision got smoked by Jay Dyer too many times. Homie didn't learn. It's interesting that they won't come on and call. And you would think Jay would come back, right, to debunk me on Bible, but their daddy doesn't want to do it,
He's an ortho bro, right?
Yeah. He's a precept guy.
So yeah, probably doesn't know the Bible at all is the problem. Most of these Orthodox and Catholic or philosophy brothers don't know the Bible very well. It's like garlic to them. Just no, thank you. Someone said, what was this? Most biblical scholars argue for a high Christology, meaning the divinity of Christ was argued in the early church. Divinity, sure. Whether or not Jesus was Yahweh, though, no. They thought Jesus was like a divine being, just not Yahweh.
Right. This is, golly, man. It's like these people know what I've been studying recently. I mean, I just talked to Steve Mason about this. And of course, James Tabor, which you brought up earlier about the Talpiot tomb, he highlights that the Philippians hymn, which Steve says in the Greek, he's like, I don't know why they call it a hymn. I mean, Paul can be poetic in the way he speaks, but it's a normal speech. And he's just simply saying that just like Adam reach out to try and become equal with God. So a lot of people interpret that Philippians 2 section as pre-existence. He says, no. He says Paul's theology it's not the pre-existent theology you find like in John as the Logos and what you find in the pastorals, but it's another Adam theology where he thought it was, reaching out to become like God. Adam did so. And of course, it's what caused all the hell that we've been in. Jesus did not think it equal to reach out, put his hand out, and try to be like God. And so he says it's not a pre-existent theology, which means the Christology being up here, you can knock it down a few pegs and then see the evolution through the Gospels to John. And once you realize that Paul's not teaching that and that Mark's not teaching that, Mark has an adoptionist kind of approach. And then you see the evolution. Oh, now you have a birth, a demigod birth. Oh, now you have him since all creation. He was there, the Logos through which all there's a progression. There's a progression.
I'd like to know Dalton's take on the relationship, not religion types of Christians. It's incredibly cringe. And I think, I don't know when this started. It must have happened sometime in like the mid 20th century. But like Christians on some level realize that there's like problems with religion and there's problem with faith. So what do? they try to redirect it. They try to say, well, it takes more faith to be an atheist, because they understand that faith is bad. So they're they're like, trying to turn it back on us. And they also know that people don't like religion. So what do you do to make Christianity more palatable? Is you say it's not a religion, it's a relationship. But even when I was a Christian, I understood that religion versus and relationship were not mutually exclusive propositions. Even if you're a Christian, it would be, and you believe you actually had a real relationship with Jesus, which you didn't because he's dead. But if you really believe you had a relationship with Jesus, it's a relationship that's mediated through a religion. You can't get away from that fact.
Yeah, I think it's more psychology. We go down that path to try and understand why people are doing that. And often their relationship with Jesus, to me, is more something internal to themselves. And what they're doing is projecting it onto Jesus. But they had it all along. That was my experience. I used to think it was all Jesus. Yeah, Jesus is the reason. And then years later, I look back and went, really? I used to say that was Jesus, but really it was just you all the time. So I think that a lot of them mean well. It depends on the person, though.
This one does make me giggle a little bit, and you'll see why. That's because the Old Testament is talking about Enoch, which ends up being Megatron. That's coming to judge in the future. Megatron. Enoch became the Decepticon leader, Megatron. I think what you meant to say, Christina, was Metatron, not Megatron. Yes. Megatron's the main antagonist of the Transformers series.
That's awesome. Megatron. Oh, God. Mr. Morphy says, ask Christians wherein Old Testament speaks of a second coming.
Yeah. I often like to point out to the Christians that, the Hebrew Bible never once says the Messiah will have two comings. And I'm blanking all of a sudden, but he never have two comings. And I often point to the book of Amos, where Amos says that the Lord God does nothing without first revealing it to his servant, the prophets. So if you want me to believe that the Messiah was supposed to have two comings, show me that in the Hebrew Bible. Now, their best bet at trying to do this, and Dr. Michael Brown was famous for pushing this idea out, is that they'll say, well, in the book of Zechariah, it says the Messiah comes humble and lowly on a donkey, but Daniel chapter 7 says he comes riding on the clouds of heaven. Well, that's only if you presuppose that Daniel chapter 7 is actually about the Messiah proper. I think the more likely explanations, which have been given by scholars like John J. Collins, for example, would say that the Son of Man figure of Daniel 7 is actually the Archangel Michael. Or there's the alternative explanation that the Son of Man figure is actually just a symbol of collective Israel, just like the beasts are symbols of other collective nations. In which case, no, this is not two comings of the Messiah. There's only Zechariah 9 is really about the Messiah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point, right? Because if he was supposed to come and moan while he was coming and finish the job, you're not even paying attention.
No, I am.
Did you hear me? Is he? No, you didn't catch.
I blanked out, didn't I? Holy shit!
I just said
my ADHD. Holy shit! I said
if he's supposed to come, and moan while he's coming, and you're just like, just sitting here like.
I get my ADHD because I'm looking at these people over here and trying to listen to you, but my brain is incapable of doing that. It would seem. Holy shit!
God.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah.
Oh man, I there's I had this one crazy Christian call. I was on a friend show. There's this person named Cam. She does lives, and I like to go on her show. And we had this one Christian who kept coming up and was just going ham and yelling out to us, get thee behind me, Satan. And I'm convinced this guy wants Satan to peg him, otherwise he wouldn't be asking Satan to get behind him all this time.
Oh my God. The King James has some funky ways of writing things. I will say it's very poetic. My favorite verse in the whole King James Bible to recite is, he who is without sin cast the first stone. It's poetically saying, it's a good episode, I think, in terms of cut the bullshit out, quit judging other people kind of thing,
Yeah.
You could use. But that was my favorite one, is he who is without sin cast the first stone.
I can't think of a verse off the top of my head that I like that's I'm sure I could find something in Ecclesiastes that I like that sounds nice and flowery. Let's see what we got going on over here. How do you brothers atone for sin? Easy. I don't have any. You don't need atonement for something that doesn't exist, and sin is the breaking of God's law, and if God doesn't exist, then there is no such thing as like sin in the theological sense. So I don't need to atone for anything.
Yeah, and even then, like, which God, if you were to grant a God, may not even be this, and we have many reasons why we don't find this to be true. But yeah, I think when you start with that bubble and then try to work out, it's hard. Some of the people calling are probably born into this, like many of us, and they can't imagine a world where people don't sin, because they see people's behaviors and they think, okay, if you've lied, or if you steal or you murder, that's wrong. We agree. But they think sin is something that's like a piggy bank that like you can't get rid of unless Jesus himself with his blood washes away that thing. And not all Christians have the atonement theology built into their whole thing. But that is what we're saying. No, you didn't need a guy. In fact, God forgave sins many times according to your own book without atonement. So why couldn't he just say, I'm not going to have my son get killed?
Yeah, if God could forgive King David without any sacrifices having occurred, then he could have forgiven anyone without any sacrifices. In fact, by the end of my Christian journey, I had moved away from like vicarious atonement models and had actually adopted what's called the moral theory of atonement. Simply put, that Jesus's example, we are to look to it, which causes us to repent and thus actually do what's right and be forgiven by God. That Jesus' death doesn't actually it's not like a true mechanism in and of itself to perform atonement.
I have a funny joke. I don't think I've told you this, but a guy dies, right? And he goes to hell. And he's in there and he's like, what? Hold on. Why the hell am I in hell? I should not be in hell. I'm a Bible believing, absolutely devout Christian. I've tithed. I got married before I slept with my wife. Like I've done everything the right way. And I believe in Jesus, his atoning sacrifice. Like, and Satan's at the desk going, listen, man, sometimes they get things mixed up in heaven. Let me call the old man upstairs and find out what's going on. You go into the waiting area, just hang out and listen. If you don't belong here, trust me, we're going to send you back to heaven. So the guy's like, all right, fine. You guys messed something up because I'm a true believer in Jesus Christ. And my whole life, has been devoted to him. So he goes in the waiting area and he recognizes someone that he's seen this person, German looking guy. Right. And he walks up and he's like, are you Martin Luther? And he's speaking in German and he says, yes, I'm Martin Luther. And he's like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And he starts to have conversation with him. Then he recognizes another man from ancient art and mosaics, Augustine. And he's like, hold up, dude. Augustine, what are you doing here? And Augustine's speaking in Latin. And he's telling him, hey, yeah. I'm here. He's wanting to know more about it. And as he's about to, he gets interrupted, noticing an even older looking guy, the Apostle Paul. And he goes, holy shit, what are you doing here? And the Apostle Paul is like, listen, it was works-based salvation the whole damn time. You know what I mean?
That's so good. That's so funny.
Works-based, baby.
Man. That's crazy. That's so funny. That would be the case, wouldn't it? I always wonder. I mean, like, there were Christians in the early couple hundred years of Christianity that thought the Apostle Paul was a heretic. And what if it turned out that they were the actual Christians and they just got killed off by the church?
That's what it feels like. If you go read Bart Ehrman's How Jesus Became God book, and you find out that the original or the oldest layers we can even imagine that depict how the Christology should be became heresy within 100 years. Like the OGs themselves became heretics. Jesus's own teachings were technically heretical. Like I was describing my interview that's coming out, sneak peek, everybody. We're talking about how Jesus saw money. And he says, sell everything you own to the rich man and come and follow me, right? We're going to get into the weeds. Check out the interview. I don't want to go on and on, but I think this is important because me and Dalton were hanging out before we went live. There was an early church father who gave a sermon on this very speech by Jesus to go and sell everything you own and come and follow him, right? And he reads the quote, and then he says, Jesus does not mean go and sell everything you have and come and follow him. He means the opposite. Like, he literally interprets everything Jesus said to mean the opposite thing than what Jesus actually says. And I find it interesting. Interesting to say the least.
That is the Christian way of like reading the Bible. If Jesus says A, he means not A.
Especially if it becomes something too outside of your comfort zone, you know?
Contradicted. Don't forget to hoard wealth for Jesus. Yeah, that was Joel Osteen's lesson. Christians. Me and Derek here are waiting for you to call in and give us a good reason to think that Jesus fulfilled prophecies. If there are really over 400, I had a guy last night say 400 prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, surely y'all can think of one, and you can come up with determinism to give an answer for the hope that is within you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Morpheus says, if Jesus has to return, that means he didn't complete his mission. Unfulfilled prophecies, which is what we are saying. Which I agree. That is the biggest. I think that was the camel's back was broken by that straw. That he expected it soon. There's too much in the New Testament that talks about the very near soon expectation of events that never happened. Now, full preterists will say it happened. But when you say, well, really, it happened? And they go, yeah, metaphorically.
Yeah,
and it's
words
like,
don't mean words.
Yeah, words don't mean words. Someone else said that. Who was it? I want to give them credit. It was albeit Ashley Indy said words don't mean words, and that happens a lot.
Yep, that's my friend Ashlyn.
Ashlyn,
yeah.
Sorry, Ashlyn.
Yeah. So and then Armenosis says Muhammad was the Jewish Messiah. Well, sadly, Muhammad is missing a very critical ingredient to be the Jewish Messiah, in that he's not Jewish.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to call him a Messiah? Go for it. I don't even know if he did. But then there's also, Vespasian was called the Messiah, but he was not the Jewish Messiah. Josephus was saying that, kind of like Cyrus was a Messiah, an anointed one, but he clearly wasn't Jewish. That is a good point. The fact that they look to the Old Testament, though, to find him in it, it's usually prophetic claims, not messianic ones that I usually hear Muslims try to do.
Sometimes some Muslims like to point to Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15, that I will raise up for you a prophet from amongst your brethren, a prophet like Moses. And they'll say that's about Muhammad, but Muhammad wasn't from amongst your brethren, which means from amongst the Israelites. He was from a whole different people group. So quite literally impossible for him to be the fulfillment of that prophecy. I personally think it's a reference to, it could be a reference either to Joshua specifically, or a reference to just prophets in general from the people of Israel.
Yeah. Oh, we got another one here. Alan. Bar Kokhba is a better fit.
I would love to see it, because listen, I don't know very much about Bar Kokhba, but we do have someone in the waiting for us now. We had a guest.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah. Big tech.
Let me do this here just to make sure they're not trolling us and we're safe. Thank you, Alan, for that super chat. Really appreciate it. Bar Kokhba is an interesting one. Just to make a comment on that, he at least was attempting to really do what prophecies say the Messiah is supposed to accomplish, but he gets crushed, and we know how that one went. So, okay. Ready when you are. Do you have a power here to be able to bring people up, right?
Yeah. How do I do? Just add to stage?
Yep. Big Tech, what's up?
Guys, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Howdy.
Nice. Thanks for bringing me in. Hey, I just got here, saw the StreamYard link, and decided to call in. So
Thanks
I haven't
for calling.
I don't know what I missed in the show, in case you need to fill me in on anything. If there's a particular topic we're supposed to be on, or if is it wide open or what?
Yeah, the topic is Jesus the Messiah? And we're looking for Christian callers to call in and, make that case, convince us that he is. We don't think he is.
Wow. Well, he obviously is, right, for the Christians.
Right.
And well, what you're a mythicist, right? So you'd say he's not
No.
because he's not real.
No, I'm not a mythicist.
Neither am I.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
think he was a.
I used to be one.
I just think he's a Jewish guy who took a huge L from the Romans, and he didn't fulfill any prophecies. Therefore, he can't be the Messiah.
Wait, you guys both think Jesus was a real guy?
I think
Yeah.
there was probably a guy. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
You know what? Before I'm gonna tell you why I think Jesus is the Messiah, but first, can I just say, fan of the show, you guys are great. Derek, could I get you someday to put back up, or maybe send me the debate between Valiant and Scribina? I noticed that came down. Is there a reason why?
Yeah. I actually found the grapevine that Scribina was under some pseudonym on a whole nother website. I guess he was some other complete. I seemed to be attached to some absolute anti-Semitic stuff going on that was online, Nazi related material type stuff. And yeah, and I just said, okay, I'm not interested in having that on my platform.
Yeah, he's a wild guy. He's into all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and I decided I wasn't going to have that on my channel, so I took it down. And I had a few other interviews with him that I decided to take down that I'm not interested in having him on. Yeah,
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, but I didn't know about it.
In my opinion, was Valiant dominated in that interview. What did you think? Do you agree with that?
I think overall, yeah. I mean, once I read the article too about Scribina, then I realized really quickly what he thinks modernly. Like he's anachronistically portraying his modern views of what's going on in geopolitics back onto Paul, and thinks that that's how he best addresses, like, it's infiltrating and secretly trying to destroy the Roman Empire through some type of psyop kind of thing. And I think that he's projecting this idea onto Paul that I don't necessarily see there. But because Dalton's here and we don't want to be rude, we should stay on topic as much as possible with Jesus as the Messiah. Are you convinced he's the Messiah?
Well, my view, I mean, I won't be offended if you kick me out. I have a very unorthodox view that is, I think, kind of particular to me, maybe in a handful of other people, but I believe in the supernatural. I believe actually that we are in something very much like a simulation. And I think that there are entities that people are calling interdimensional, and the other dimension is basically time. These are entities, consciousnesses, intelligence that's beyond time. And we live in something that's a singularity, that at the end of, there's a transcendence of time that allows for a feedback into the past to happen. So I know that's a lot. I just fired all that out there. But at the end of time, which we are approaching, there is basically a portal into the past for intelligence to feed back into the past of our timeline. And what happens at that point is that information gets fed back into the past to humans of the past in order to modify the timeline of the future and bring about certain events. I think that's what the Kabbalah is. That's what the ancient mystery schools were. That's what the Torah was. And then ultimately that's what Jesus was part of as well. Jesus is a mind control program inserted like a virus into the matrix of human society in order to steer humanity into the future that we are now experiencing. And for that reason, he is the Messiah.
So, Jesus, the word Messiah means that you have fulfilled prophecies in the Hebrew Bible about the future king of Israel. And if Jesus doesn't do that, then all that be damned, he's not the Messiah.
Well, can you tell me a prophecy he doesn't fulfill as Messiah ben Joseph?
Messiah ben Joseph is not a biblical term. Ben David would be tangentially scriptural, but he doesn't bring world peace.
Well, not yet, not till he comes back.
Well, then I could just say the same thing about any failed Messiah. Menachem Mendel Schneerson could very well be the Messiah. He just, he'll bring world peace when he returns.
Yeah.
He didn't build the temple.
Yeah, not yet.
And he didn't gather in the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Yeah, so the Christian Messiah, I would agree with you. Like, if we're going to interpret the Messiah in Christian terminology, he's going to fall short.
Well, no. Dalton's saying within Jewish, because Christian, that's kind of anachronistic when you get into the scholarship. The Jewish expectation of a Messiah through Scripture is what Dalton's actually getting at. And I get that there are different Jews who had different perceptions about what may happen, may not happen, but there are some biblical precedents within Scripture that are expected for the Messiah to accomplish in order to really show that guy is the Messiah. And I think that's the reason why Dalton's pointing this out, is that all people who believe he is the Messiah have is that he will do those things, but they haven't happened yet. And that's like, anyone can get that label, but we shouldn't really rest that case and say he is until he has done those things. There's really good reason to think it failed. And that's why we're saying we're not convinced.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you could look, it's very blatant. He says, like, certain things will happen within this generation, right? And then those things don't happen.
Right.
And there's specific things like being a military conqueror. That doesn't happen. He does almost the opposite. Certain things that he says, that are said that the Messiah will fulfill, they haven't been done.
None of them.
But you got to kind of like embrace the schizo pill like I have in order to see it my way, and I don't even mind being mocked for it. But if there's a let's say that there was if there was like a prophecy that there will be a guy who will get us across the sea, right? This is like a metaphor. So that guy builds a boat, but then that guy dies. Did he get us across the sea? Well, if there we are on the boat halfway across the sea,
it wouldn't be fulfilled until it actually finishes.
Right.
At that point, anyone who's just on the water is the potential person who got us across the sea, in which case, like, they're all, in this case, every single failed Messiah in history, whether it's Jesus of Nazareth, Bar Kokhba, Shabtai Zvi, all of them are equally the Messiah, because all of them equally failed to meet the requirements.
In a way, that's like, my view is the Messiah is a concept kind of like the Agent Smith in the Matrix, where anybody can be it. And the Smith does what the Smith does by inhabiting different vessels in the Matrix to accomplish certain aspects.
No, only those who, you have to be Jewish and you have to be a descendant of David in order to be the Messiah. No, not anyone can be. I can't be the Messiah, for example.
Right. So the agent incarnates it within certain bloodlines that have this type of connection to the other side. Like I said, the other dimensionals, they're outside of time. So when they say he did it, it was done, even though in time it takes, centuries or millennia for the plan to unfold, for the results to be seen.
Big Tech, you playing, bro? You quit playing.
It's okay if you want to make
You gotta stop. You gotta be joking with us. Are you serious?
Well, I am actually legitimately serious, and it's very dark. But what I think is that we're coming in, like, the machine that we're building right now. I mean, I'm literally telling you, AI and the singularity that comes after that, which is all a result of capitalism, is all a result of Jewish mysticism, infecting our world. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that the Messiah is coming in the form of a machine.
Have you actually read the Zohar? Because AI has nothing to do with the Kabbalah.
That's one. I mean, if you read the Kabbalah and then you take it as an exoteric, if you don't, there's the esoteric side of it is absolutely basically like a code. It's like explaining binary code in the terms of spirituality.
No, it doesn't do that. It just
it starts with the absolute nothingness turning into somethingness, which splits into duality, which splits into all these different types of recursive. It's almost like the way that a software designer is going to be recursively improving the code by finding errors and fixing it. They turn it like the absolute goes into these vessels and breaks it and then has to be put back together. All of this stuff combined with the Merkava mystery stuff and the ascension of the Kabbalists into this other realm where they're talking to demons. I think that literally
things that never ever happened in reality.
Well, this is a schizo talking to a skeptic. I mean, you'd be the skeptic. I'm the schizo on this side. But I'm saying that
gentlemen, real quick, we got a super Hold on, we got a super chat here real quick. I left Wade hanging far too long. Thanks for that super chat, Wade. Can't remember which, but prophecies in the New Testament weren't often real prophecies from Old Testament. Made up, of course. Matthew 1:18 through 25 and Luke 1:26 through 38, virgin birth, were taken from Septuagint translation, mistranslation.
Yep.
Thank you, Wade. Yes, there's all sorts of issues when you notice that the New Testament is using the Septuagint, and how they have recontextualized many of the prophecies. Paul's really good at making the prophecies mean something other than what they actually originally in their context mean. And some of them aren't even prophecies. They're just take a sentence somewhere that's relevant to the subject matter and then apply it. And thank you so much, Wade. There's some really good scholarship on that. So sorry to interrupt Big Tech, but when we get super dupers, to keep the matrix moving, we have to go to them. So
absolutely.
Anyways,
but if Jesus didn't fulfill prophecies, he's just not the Messiah. That is the requirement to be the Messiah. You have to at least fulfill one prophecy, and Jesus didn't even fulfill one.
Well, okay? So again, I agree with you. You know, I'm not going to argue with your position. From your position of an exoteric reading, right? You'd expect that this real guy did real things that fulfilled real prophecies in real time. And that's what it means to you. And if that's what all that means to you, I have to agree with you. I'm saying that there's an alternative way of looking at it. From my position, the fulfillment of the prophecy takes place over many, many centuries. This is a prophecy that's outside of time. So time is not really a factor. If the prophecy is fulfilled thousands of years later, then he did fulfill the prophecy.
No, some of these prophecies are very much time bound.
Like what?
Like Isaiah 52 says that the Jewish people would never have the uncircumcised or the unclean come unto them again. And then only a couple hundred years later, they did. The Greeks conquered them.
Okay, so he didn't well, I'm familiar with why the Jews don't believe he's the Messiah. You guys familiar with the book? I think it's like 27 Reasons Why Jews Don't Believe in Jesus. You ever read that one?
No, but we are
good.
familiar with Jewish arguments against Jesus, and most of them are pretty valid.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, so they don't accept...
There's a reason that there's a reason that Christianity broke and became its own religion too, and that's its own little evolutionary thought. My question is, like, I don't understand if Jesus is highly suspect of not being the Messiah. He's failed to exoterically fulfill anything. Why read into it if it does not clearly on face value give you this conclusion? Why not ditch Jesus and come up with another mystic? I mean, you have Zoroaster, why not be more like Baha'i and say, hey, there were various other sages, but Jesus doesn't compute to the system. Why use the Messianic one? Why not ditch it, Big Tech, and focus on a different character?
If you showed me how one of those characters was impacting the world, positively or even just like pragmatically or effectively toward the outcome that I see playing out, then I would be persuaded to, put more credence onto that character. So I just have to see how, like, I don't know who we're talking about, Zoroaster or Krishna or Buddha or something like that. Like, how are they leading the world toward this techno dystopia that the Jews have, ultimately, I don't mean the Jews, but I mean like capitalism and the world system of Christianity and world Jewry, like Judaism, all of these things, the Abrahamic faiths, they're leading us toward a particular set of outcomes that I see playing out that do seem to have been forecast long, long ago.
Is like what was forecast long ago? Well,
the way I speak sometimes with, I got a friend named Adam King, an associate, an acquaintance on the internet. Maybe you're familiar with him. He's he's a Jewish fella. He's a Kabbalist. He's a Jew among Jews. And he tells me that his concept that he has learned, and the Jewish concept of Messiah, when he describes what that's going to be like for the world, it sounds exactly like what the Christians expect when Christ comes back and rules the world. So basically just the world under God's law, the separation of the, the sheep and the goats. The wicked will be purged. Only the righteous will be here under God's law perfectly.
Not exactly, because under Judaism, when the Messiah comes, he's supposed to erect a temple and reestablish the Levitical sacrificial system, and Christianity is against that idea.
Again, this is all right. It's really hard to, I mean, I have to just give it to, yeah. So if we're just going to do it like that, if we're going to go if we're going to discard all symbology, then yeah, you're right.
We don't discard all symbology, but symbology is only appropriate when the text in question calls for it.
Well, look, he might even agree with you that it's a literal temple, an actual blood sacrifice. Like he's all hyped on the red heifers that they just, got all approved through their purification standards and stuff like that. They're getting ready to christen the new temple. He's hyped about that. But his view of Messiah is very symbolic and spiritual. It's not even a man. When I ask him who the Messiah, he says that the Messiah is always here and always has been here, and the age of Messiah is something that's coming. And this is their understanding of it, is that when the Messiah comes, it's not even a man.
Well, no, the Jewish position is that in every generation, there is an individual who has the potential to be the Messiah if we're worthy of them coming, but they will fulfill prophecies when they do come, and thus we will know they are the Messiah. So it is a man.
Well, there's differing opinions on that. That is a view within Judaism, but they don't. What's the old saying? Is it, show me 2 Jewish guys and I'll give you 3 opinions, or something like that. Like they don't even all agree, even with themselves, let alone other Jews necessarily. But that's kind of like what the Talmud is a lot of like reasoning and arguing and.
Well, it seems you are a bit disconnected from the topic. Honestly,
and that's fair. Yeah, I understand. And hey, if there's other Christians you want to bring on, that's like a going to church, believing in Jesus guy. That's not me. I don't pray to Jesus. I don't believe in Jesus as a literal being. So I'm probably not the fish that you're fishing for here.
You're too heretical, man.
I am. I'm too heretical.
No, but seriously, appreciate you calling in. We do have a caller, and I don't know what to say.
Could I ask you one question before you kick me down?
Yeah.
For you, Derek. So do I understand right that you've ditched any form of Roman providence theory? And if I'm right about that, could you give me, like, I've been trying to grasp, what is your conception of how the Gospels and Christianity came about if it wasn't basically, like, my view is that it was Jews in Rome, like educated Roman citizens who were Jews, who invented basically Judaism 2.0, which caught on in Rome and became Christianity. What is your view of what took place, and maybe Paul, and like, why did Christianity become what it is, and how, and like, who did it and why? What's your view of that?
Yeah,
and
that's a long, detailed thing. In a nutshell, I'll say I do take a ground up approach, where I think that a real ground up movement that began following another sage type apocalyptic preacher like Jesus, and fervent devout followers of his continued the movement, and through potentially experiences, I'm open to the idea that a lot of this is legend building and mythology that is recycled. But I don't think, just to give to your point, if you could find evidence that suggests that Rome wouldn't put that material in there, that to me is a really good reason to think that Rome didn't invent it. So the idea of Roman provenance depends on the person's definition. Top down is usually their explanation. So they think that Rome, through the payment of Vespasian or Domitian or whoever, specifically Vespasian, depends on the kind of Roman provenance, thinks that they had a paid commission to invent Christianity in order to tame Messianics from being rebellious against the empire.
Right.
Problem is, I find evidence like the demoniac, just to give you one, where Jesus calls the demon out. The demon says their name is Legion. Legion is the Greek term. There is a Latin loan word that is talking about the legion, likely the 10th legion, which had a swine as the symbol, and literally casts the swine and drowns the Roman legion. I don't think Rome would take kindly or even be okay with talking about their legion in such a manner as a demon in a story that they're calling Rome this. So there's a lot of evidence internally that makes you realize maybe it isn't Rome that's actually behind this whole thing. The other problem I have is like, if you know the vanity that many of these Caesars had, it's unlikely one of them would claim to be a Messiah, a Jewish Messiah who's from a backwater Galilee region, from a poor place like Nazareth. But secretly, it's really about Titus, or it's secretly about Vespasian. Depends on the model of Roman provenance. But look, we got to stick to the topic. And I'm happy to go into greater detail in a future episode if we're covering some like generic call-ins or whatever. Feel free to call back and we can get into the weeds.
I hope I can find you doing one of those. I'll call back then. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank
guys.
you.
Great show.
Yes, sir. All right. That was interesting. Yeah, I mean, you can't really. What can you do when you fundamentally approach the material completely different as far as that is concerned? I don't know. I mean, maybe mystical thinkers later had complete reinterpretations of this stuff and found ways to negotiate with it. But I think there's a pretty standard Messianic view that Jews held of what they expected. And I think that's important when we're, running through trying to understand, hey, who's the Messiah? What is he? Who's the Messiah and what does he do? The song, Who's Your Daddy and What Does He Do? Or the famous movie with Arnold. We got another super chat here. Griffin's in the house. Surprise dose of D&D. Cook 'em, boys. Big love. Thank you so much, Gretzins. I really appreciate that support, super chat, and the love. All right, our next caller. We've got Toronto in the house. You ready to take Toronto on here?
Hell yeah.
All right, let's do it. Go ahead and take them on when you're ready.
All right, there we go.
What's
Toronto,
up, Derek?
What is up?
What's up, bro? How are you, man? Hey,
Good.
What's up, Bible guy? How are you, Dalton?
Howdy, Toronto. Welcome back.
Good to see you. Yes. Derek, man, we gotta talk. We gotta talk about this thing with Gnostic. What's the name? Gnostic informant, dude. This guy's slandering me, dude. But we'll talk about it. I'll send you an email.
Let's stay on topic. All right,
Okay.
just for the sake of it, we got a super chat. By the way, super chats, they interrupt us. It's not just our guests; they interrupt us.
Yeah.
Laura Orana, forgive me. Thank you for the super chat. The 20 bomb. Thoughts on the prophetic past tense? Was it really proposed by a medieval rabbi? Why wouldn't it be valid to apply to Isaiah 53? Are there other critiques to Isaiah 53 other than not a prophecy? I love your work, Dalton.
Our earliest reference to the concept of like prophetic perfect was from the Ibn Ezra, who was a medieval rabbi. And prior to this, we don't have any references to this concept. It would seem like this is just a method for people who, when prophecy fails, you have to do one of two things. You either throw out the prophecy or you renegotiate with the text. And it seems like the go-to method for much of these works was to renegotiate the Bible. So even though the Bible plainly puts things in the past tense, well, we just have to like say, well, words don't really mean words, and it says past tense, but it actually means something else. And yeah, prior to Ibn Ezra, we see no evidence of this.
No, in context, it clearly looks like a prophecy, and also there is some future tense there as well. Like it's kind of mixing future and past tense there too, right? So
the exaltation is future tense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's why people read it that way. So it's like it's also like it's clearly a prophecy. The whole book is prophecy, man. It's like you have to actually be in denial of the obvious context to try to deny that it's prophecy just because of the past tense usage, like it's just that you can see that they might do that. Their prophetic is kind of poetic,
I would say that when the text refers to the suffering of the servant in the past tense, it's because that already happened, and the exaltation, which is in the future, it uses future tense or the imperfect tense in Hebrew. So that's why you'll get a mixture of it, because from the perspective of the author, the Jewish people have just gone through their tribulation in Babylon, and God is about to exalt them before the eyes of the nations.
Oh, because you think the servant is the nation, right? Well, you know what? That brings up my scripture that I was going to bring in, because I wanted to talk to you guys about Isaiah 49. the servant is called Israel, but then in 49:3, right? But then in 49:5-6, that same servant is tasked to bring Jacob back and restore Israel.
Right.
So it seems to be like an individual who's being called on as Israel, but as a representative to save the nation.
What?
So
Why
it means
couldn't
that
it?
the
Why
servant
couldn't
can't
it be? Why couldn't it be the exiled righteous remnant that is out there where the lost Israelites are supposed to be, and they're the ones bringing them back instead of an individual? I mean, they are exiled remnants. So if the Messiah, let's just say that the righteous remnant is this person used as an individual, but it's really the corporate body of the righteous remnant of Israel, and they are the ones that are supposed to bring Israel back when they come back. Why couldn't that make sense? You see what I'm trying to get at?
Because he's referred to as a single person, and it doesn't add up if you look at the logic of the text. But
well,
you know what? It's really hard
does,
to read
and,
that. Can I put my Bible up? It's really hard to read that. But if
you
put
want to
my
zoom it
Bible
in?
up,
Yeah,
Oh,
here,
you have your.
I'll zoom in. Yeah. So like the individual
I still can't read that, bro. Come on, man. Can you zoom in some more?
I'll zoom in some more then. Let's see.
You got to get some surgery on those eyeballs, Toronto.
There we go. So the prophet in question is who's being spoken of. So it says, "Listen to me, O coastland." That's the prophet speaking. Pay attention.
I don't think that is the prophet speaking. It couldn't be because
the Lord
the
called me.
The scope of what is doing.
Hold on.
Lord called me from the womb. From the womb.
You don't think that's the prophet saying, "Listen to me, O coastlands"?
Yeah, no, of course not, because the Lord called me from the womb.
The prophet's not talking. The prophet's not saying.
No, the prophet's not talking here. No, this is the Messiah talking. This is the
no.
Messiah talking.
Yeah,
so
we disagree. Yeah.
If it was the Messiah, it would say, wait,
because...
Toronto, wait. If it was about the Messiah, the text would say the Lord called him before he was born. But the prophet saying the Lord called me before I was born is no different than when God says about Jeremiah that I knew you and formed you in the womb before you were born.
Jeremiah. This is Isaiah.
Yeah, this is just
Isaiah is called when he's
not Isaiah.
He went to the temple.
Well, not Isaiah. The author this is second.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You can bring in that story, whatever you want to say, but in this narrative, in this book, this is if you want to try to claim it's the prophet, it's Isaiah. Right? And Isaiah was called from the womb. Okay, whatever.
Yes,
whoever you think it is, he was never called from the womb. He was called from. Where do you see that? Where is that?
God settles all his prophets are called from the womb.
Like no, it doesn't say that. Where does the Bible say that? Where does the Bible say that?
So what
God says that Jeremiah was called from the womb.
Do you think Paul was called from the womb?
Yeah, Paul was set apart from the womb. It says it's a little bit different.
So he wasn't a prophet. You're saying Paul wasn't a prophet.
Paul was an apostle. It's a little bit different.
Right, I know, but if I could show you evidence that he was also called from the womb and he's a prophet, would you not consider what he's saying about Isaiah?
Prophecies, but no, that isn't. That's just two. That's just two examples. What? That's not the entire prophetic tradition.
Okay.
Anyway, we see when Isaiah is called. Isaiah is called in chapter 6.
This isn't Isaiah.
Grown man.
This isn't Isaiah.
Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever you like. Look, dude. Even if you want to bring that story that you try to tell yourself to make you
not a story.
Feel better, okay? If you try, you want to try to tell yourself that
Toronto,
whatever we're saying about it.
Chill out.
The book is going to.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hold on. While we have him muted, real quick, I gotta get these other super chats. We can't be leaving people hanging real quick here because it's getting heated real quick, and I like it. All right. Angry Amalek Infant, newest denomination, Matrician Christianity. Neo is the Messiah. At least his version, or this version, has a real Trinity. Oh, snap. Thank you, Angry Amalek. Appreciate that. Alan in the house. Mute TBS if he says that's dumb. All right. Watch yourself, Toronto. If you say that's dumb, we're muting you. All right, TBS. Yeah. Most you've ever lost on a coin flip. I don't know what this is talking about.
I don't know. I never lost on a coin flip, bro.
You've never lost on a coin flip.
I never lost any money anyway. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, Kurt, stop talking to me. Kurt, tell me about how the Mayans had an alphabet. Kurt, this guy just makes up stuff and talks like he's an expert in things. He has no clue what he's talking about. Anyway,
you saying that's dumb? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I'm saying no, that's not what I'm trying to tell you, dude.
Oh, you said it. I gotta mute him. All right, go ahead, Dalton. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So, this, by the way, this is the consensus of biblical scholars that the author of Second
Tell me something,
Isaiah
bro. Tell me something.
is a different author.
Hold on, you gotta let
doesn't
Dalton. You gotta let
matter.
Dalton talk. You gotta let him talk, though, bro. You gotta let this.
It's so
we don't want.
ridiculous, dude.
I don't want this to fizzle out in 5-10 minutes, bro, and become a yelling match. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the consensus of biblical scholarship that the author of this section of Isaiah is not. Okay, I'll just meet you then.
Anyway,
okay. So it is the consensus that this is not the biblical Isaiah son of Amos. This is the consensus of scholarship, and for a few reasons. One, the author speaks to Cyrus as if they are already alive, and he's speaking directly to Cyrus, talking about how God has grasped him by the hand. Isaiah is never once again mentioned at all after chapter 39 of the text, and then also throughout Isaiah 40 through 55, the entire context is about the return of the exiles. So this is not just like the Bible guy bullshitting you. This is the consensus of scholarship.
Yeah, well, in the logic of the book of Isaiah,
Couple supers, real quick. I want you get your thing. We gotta recognize them. Incognito Jesus in the house. Thank you. Is there not only 10 prophetic verses about the Messiah in the Hebrew Bible? Then wouldn't this mean most New Testament prophecy is made up? Love the channel.
If there not only 10 prophetic verses, but I mean, it's like a couple dozen at most. It's not in hundreds for sure. It usually gets well overblown by Christian apologists. Then wouldn't this mean most New Testament prophecy is made up? Yeah, I mean, most of it is like taken out of context or mistranslated in order to make Jesus look more like the Messiah than he really was.
And then we have MindWise in the house. Thank you, MindWise, for the 616. Late to the party, but happy to be here with D&D. Have friend watching, but we get Toronto. Oi, rock hard for Doug. What is it? What is it?
Gaping for Peggy.
Gaping for Peggy. I got to remember that one whenever they put the pound symbol in there. MindWise, love you. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate that.
Yes, all right. Peggy, the holy strap-on. And
gross, guys, gross. Grow up. Anyway, so look, in the logic of this book of Isaiah, in the logic of the Bible, this is Isaiah, or whatever you want to say, though. The fact is, this person, we have no evidence this person was called from the womb, and also
except for them telling us
he's the salvation to the whole earth.
Salvation to the whole earth. Who in the context here, looking at this text or in the book, I don't care. Who, show me in this text that says who that person is that's in the womb. I want the words in the actual text.
It's the Messiah.
Where does it say that?
It's the person from, well, look, if you look at 49:6, he's the salvation to the whole world.
Yeah,
the prophecy,
that makes perfect sense in light of Exodus chapter 19, verse 6, where the children of Israel called to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation.
No, look, the prophets are not they're supposed to announce the salvation. Even if Israel was the prophet, was the priest in the holy nation, they're announcing the salvation. But the Messiah,
do prophets not call people to repentance?
Well, no, hold on a sec. Could you please not interrupt me if I have to not interrupt you? This says that thou mayest be my salvation. That is, he is the salvation, as Jesus is the resurrection. He is the salvation, right? It's different than announcing it as a prophet does, or just like being the priests and kings as the nation of Israel is called to do.
It says, is it too light a thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, which is the job of the prophet, and restore the survivors of Israel? I will give you as a light to the nations, that my salvation may reach the ends of the earth. It doesn't say that the prophet is the salvation, but that he is a light to the nations, so that the salvation may reach the ends of the earth. That's the job.
Well, it's all about it just says the Gentiles' salvation in the Hebrew, right? So
go back to verse 3 real quick, if we don't mind. And this is 49, right? Chapter 49.
Yeah.
I think right there. And he said to me, "You are my servant, Israel, in whom I will be glorified."
Yeah.
Israel's the servant. Israel is the one. So
it's thou. First of all, it's thou, right? Thou, as in a single person, not ye, not like
but even then, Israel is called God's wife, singular, as a corporate body in Hosea. He divorces her individual, singular, not plural.
Well,
But
that's
we
like
know that she's
symbolic,
one.
man.
We know that she's one. Of course, and that's what we're reading here.
No,
We're
but
reading-
you're missing out the fact that like Hosea actually really did divorce his wife, or kind of like they didn't actually.
Yeah,
he
but
kind
that
of,
was
like,
actually an
thought he did.
analogy. He wanted him to go marry someone who was promiscuous to be a representative of how the nation of Israel has wandered off for false gods, according to Hosea.
Mhm.
So
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
looking at this and I'm saying he literally identifies who the servant is. It's Israel. 3 verses prior to the one you did.
But when you look at 49:6, then it says to the servants, right, that the servant should raise up the tribes of Jacob and restore the preserved of Israel, restore Israel. So
Because
it can't
all
be
of
the nation.
well, no, that's because all of Israel are not equal in their like righteousness. Like you would agree that if you have all of Israel and then there's a righteous remnant, is it the job of the righteous to call their brothers and sisters back to God?
Well, I don't think that's what's happening here, because the fact is,
No, I didn't ask
he's
if you
speaking
think
to a
that's what's
singular person.
I didn't ask if you
I
think
know,
that's
because
what's
you're trying to distract
I-
from the actual
no,
point of the
no, no,
logic
no,
of the chapter.
no. I didn't ask
Trying
if
to
that's what
distract
you
from it,
think.
trying to make it into another point.
So that's not. I didn't ask you if that's what you think is happening here. I asked you, is it just in general? Is it the job of righteous Israelites to call their brothers and sisters back to God?
I guess so. I don't know, but my point
Okay.
is though, that this is not what's happening here. What's happening here is one person is being asked to restore the nation.
Then I'll just say it's the prophet. It's just the prophet then.
I know, but the prophet is not the salvation. He's being called to be
He's
the
not the
salvation.
salvation. No, he's
Also,
not.
he's called from the womb.
No, he's
So
called to
two
be a
things.
light to the
He's called from the
nations.
womb. No, to be my salvation. To be, okay. You're
That
trying
my
to say,
salvation may
in
reach the
your
ends of the earth.
translation, it doesn't say that, right? Well, it says that salvation, that my salvation in Hebrew, that my salvation unto the end of the earth. For a light to the nations, that my salvation be. Well, even that unto the end of the earth. How's Isaiah supposed to do that? Or any prophet?
Again, not Isaiah, but also again, you have to remember that Derek and I, we're not Jewish, we're not Christians, we're not obligated to believe that if a prophecy is given in the Bible, then it must be fulfilled. This is just the prophet relating what they believe, the messages that they have received from God.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick,
Dr.
Dr. Roman not in the house. Thank you for the super chat. Here's the logic, Toronto. Called from the womb in Isaiah 49 legitimates a people after failure. Paul uses the same trope to pre-legitimate himself. Retroactive versus preemptive authorization.
What kind of like ridiculous connection is that to draw? Like
what
do you
Paul?
even? He's made the thing he said about the Israel thing is just made up. He just made it up. And then he's trying to say, oh, Paul does the same thing. Well, why should I think that? Like, neither of those things is established anywhere else in the text. He just literally just made up a theory about why that says that.
Who made up what theory?
His theory that it's about like legitimating Israel or whatever that is. Whatever his theory is.
That is the consensus of the scholarship, that this is about the Israelites as they are leaving the exile, because that's literally the theme. Like from the get-go, Isaiah chapter 40, it starts with the prophet talking about how the highway will be opened in the desert so that the Israelites can return to the Holy Land. That's the whole theme of this section of Isaiah.
Not about that. That's not
is about that.
That's about.
It's not about John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. Yeah,
no, it's not.
Why should I think it's about Israel? Like
it's about the text
doesn't even say that.
When did Isaiah?
Don't go there. Let's just say here 49. I don't want to go to every other verse.
Toronto.
49.
When did Isaiah live?
707, like seven something BC.
I'm not trying to like gotcha on the exact date. I'm saying ancient times, right? Way back here, the prophet is around, right?
Yeah.
So you have I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, during the Babylonian period, right around the Babylonian period.
Well, before that, but yeah.
But you have this guy way back here. He's dealing with issues that are happening with God, Israel exiled. Assyria did it to the north. You have Babylon that ends up doing it to the south. He's dealing with circumstances in his own life. If we just take at face value that this guy named Isaiah, who calls himself a prophet, is under real trauma about what's happened in his real life. I know you can do dual fulfillment stuff all you want, but how come you can't at least grant what's right in front of people's eyes? That we're looking at the page going, Isaiah's talking about stuff in his time about shit that's going on back then. And then go in there and say, hey, down the line, there's going to be a future thing that's going to double fulfill. You're not even granting an initial fulfillment back here. Most Christians at least try to do a double.
I don't think 40 is a double fulfillment. Is it really? What people say about it? I don't think
if you want to say it's about John the Baptist, then you have to say it's double fulfillment because the primary meaning of the text is about the return of the exiles.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's not.
Comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and cry to her that she has served her term, that her penalty is paid. She has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. What is that a reference to?
Yeah, well, people will try to say that that's reference to them paying their debt in the Exodus, but in the exile.
People say, or you think that? What do you think that's saying?
No, I don't think that's about that. I think it's just about like the whole, like after when the church is forgiven, it's about like
the church.
Yeah, this is about like how the church is going to be forgiven and
well, no, because the forgiveness that the church receives happens at the crucifixion, which takes place temporally after John the Baptist is crying out in the desert. But here, God says that they have received from the Lord. They've already received the penalty. And now a voice cries out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God.
Okay, fine. Okay, double fulfillment. Fine. Let's go back to 49, man. That's where I wanted to stick.
Hey, real quick.
Jump around all over the place.
Super chat. Simeon Nurchin, thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, the perfect comeback argument. Nuh-uh. Thank you so much, Simeon.
What's this guy trying to say? What's this guy trying to say, dude? Like this, like listen.
Toronto, they're talking about you going nuh-uh.
That's not what I'm saying. Nuh-uh. That's not what I'm doing. I'm actually presenting another argument, a better argument. Anyway.
Okay, Mr. Morpheus says, ask, is there anything we can present that can make you change your mind? If the answer is no, then it's a waste of time talking.
I can say the same thing to you, Morpheus. Morpheus, is there anything I can present to you that would cause you to believe that Isaiah is actually a prophet and Jesus is a real?
Yeah, if you could show that, if it could show me a passage where it's explicitly about the King of Israel and uses future tense. And you can demonstrate that Jesus did that thing. Would be convincing.
Like, what a ridiculous! Like, that's like the kind of
Hold on, did you say that was dumb?
No, it's like no.
You just said it's ridiculous.
His request for
ridiculous is synonymous with dumb.
No, ridiculous is not. It's not.
It can be in context.
And by the way, it's supposed to be that's the word. It's not. It's not like Anyway.
But Toronto, you asked me. You said that that was the same for me. That there isn't that I would just say no, but I didn't just say no. I gave you a criteria by which you could.
No, what you gave me is the criteria that's like unreasonable. It's kind of like
no, it's not unreasonable because there are actual real prophecies in the Hebrew Bible that mentions a king and uses future tense.
Mm-hmm. So why do they all have to do that? Like I don't understand. What are you saying?
I mean,
there are prophecies about the king.
If you want me to think,
why aren't they about the Messiah?
Yes, if you want me to think that a passage is about the Messiah, who is the King of Israel, the text must contain themes and references to a king.
Well, anyway, let's go back to the future. Isaiah 49. Isaiah 49. You cannot explain. Listen, you cannot explain Isaiah 49.
Thank you for the super chat, Alan.
Kurt, asserting that
TBS, you accept Deutero-Isaiah as a different author?
No, they do not.
No, I didn't. Of course not. Anyway, he's trying to say that Dalton's trying to say that that you can explain this as a prophet, but you're just asserting stuff.
If I write a letter to you, and I use first person. Hold on. If I write a letter to you, and I use first person pronouns, the person that I'm writing about is myself. And when
it's not a letter, it's a prophecy. Also, where's Isaiah ever? Where's the prophet ever referred to as Israel? Where's that ever?
Here in Isaiah. Well, wait. Is the prophet
right here? Wait.
Is the prophet not here, dude? Is the prophet of all prophets besides Balaam, of course? Are all the prophets of Israel not members of the people of Israel?
When my question was this: when is the prophets ever referred to as Israel in the Bible ever?
Throughout Deutero Isaiah.
Yeah, you're just trying to say that this example is the example.
You need to show me.
You have no other example.
You need to show me what the
What a
problem with
joke.
that is, other than you don't
Well,
like
no,
it.
no. The problem is this: you don't have any other example. So you just
I don't need it because I have here a text.
No, you don't, because it doesn't
gee whiz.
explain why.
So when I have a text written in the using first person pronoun, I know Christians don't like pronouns. I get that. But when I have a text that uses first person pronouns in every other example in my life, that tells me the person who's the pronouns belong to the person writing. And the prophet is writing a text and saying, the Lord has called me. So the most obvious meaning is that's about the prophet.
This is literally laughable. You're literally trying to say that I have
Words
this
mean words.
example.
Hold on,
This
laughable
the
is
example I
synonymous
have.
with dumb too. So you
No,
just use
no.
synonymous.
No,
He's
no.
getting clever. He's getting clever. Continue, Toronto. But
my vocabulary is increasing thanks to you, Derek. I appreciate it. Really,
hey, Alan, thank you for the super chat. So the author prophesied Cyrus the Great. Gotcha.
The author of 2nd Isaiah did not prophesy King Cyrus the Great because they lived at the same time as King Cyrus the Great.
This is the thing. So what these people want you to believe, Derek, is every time you see a prophecy, it must be written by somebody else, because there couldn't be a prophecy, right?
No, I think the Isaiah's chapters 1 through 39 were by the historical prophet Isaiah.
No, well, yeah, I know that you think that part, which is not prophetic.
Yeah, I think the book of Hosea was written by the historical Hosea.
Yeah, okay,
parts of Zechariah from Zechariah.
The parts that are prophetic, you deny. So that's
there are prophetic parts in the book of Proto Isaiah.
No, not the prophetic in the sense that we would want, right? Like
that you would want.
That is impressive or whatever, you know. But like, this is the thing. Whenever they see a prophecy that's actually supernatural or would require some kind of supernatural explanation, they just deny it because they deny any supernatural explanation.
No, I deny it because the data doesn't align with your belief.
No, there's plenty of data that aligns with it. The language is all like all the Hebrew and everything is all like from that date or that period. There's no kind of like different Hebrew or anything.
The tenses tell us everything, bud. I'm sorry that you don't like you don't like tenses and you don't like pronouns. But Toronto, words. Toronto, your entire argument hinges upon words not meaning what words mean.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It does.
What matters is that the prophet could use tenses poetically or however he chooses to in order to make his case of like when he's talking to Cyrus there, it's like the Lord is talking to Cyrus, right? The Lord is saying this about Cyrus.
And saying
the Lord is saying it
saying that God has grasped Cyrus by the hand. He will grasp him by the hand. The prophets use imperfect tense all the time to refer to the future
because they know it's going to happen.
No, then why don't they do that consistently? Why is it that we have other passages which are actually about the future and they use the imperfect tense?
Because it's poetic. They're writing it in a poetic way. They want it to sound good too. It's also beautiful. It's also like the beauty to it, you know.
So Jeremiah 23, Jeremiah 23 isn't poetry.
No, Jeremiah, he just didn't choose to do it that way. It's a narrative choice that each prophet chooses to do. It's their own choice.
It seems like it's prophetic perfect when it's convenient to the Christian argument.
No, again, you're just asserting that, like, it's just ludicrous, man. Ludicrous.
I just don't. No, Toronto. The thing is, I just don't give the Bible special. I don't give the Bible.
No, you did.
There will be no more of this speaking over each other. I'm done with it. So. I just don't treat the Bible special. I treat it the way I treat every other work from the ancient Near East. And if I wouldn't allow for this idea in other literature, I'm not going to allow for it in the Hebrew Bible, Toronto. You're never going to get me to not treat words what they mean.
I'm not trying to get you to do that. I was just talking about Isaiah 49, where it says that the prophet is. Or sorry, it's not talking about the prophet. It's talking about the person, the Israel person,
The prophet.
is called from the womb.
Also,
the salvation to all nations, which is not a prophetic mission.
Which is the prophet.
Not prophetic calling. No, they announced the salvation. They're not the salvation. And also,
I got a problem.
The prophet is.
I haven't spoke a lot. I think this is my problem, right? I want to look at this text. I want to literally try to work with you here, okay? Because we have a conclusion, you have a conclusion. But if we're looking at this text, and I say, hold on, I was in my mother's womb, he named me. Who is that? You have to show me in the text. You say it's the Messiah.
Well, look. If you look at, for example, Derek, look at Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, I believe it is, or Isaiah.
Oh yeah, about Hezekiah.
We have this discussion. No, I see what he's trying to do. See what he's trying to do.
Well, I get why
Hezekiah is not referred to as the everlasting father.
Neither is the child of Isaiah.
Why? Yes, he is. He's literally referred to that way. He's literally referred to that way.
Actually, I would actually agree. I would actually agree with the I would actually agree with the translation of the New Jewish Publication Society translation.
Okay.
Renders this as,
just interrupting.
And his name will be.
Well, I'm trying to answer Derek's question. You just have to stick your nose in because you want to try to derail the obvious fact that your argument is failed, dude.
It hasn't failed. You can keep.
By the way, Derek,
declaring that it's failed doesn't make it fail.
Listen, Derek asked me a question. Let me answer Derek's question. Okay. The question was, Derek, why should this person say that he was named from the womb? Well, in Isaiah, we do see that the Messiah is named from the womb. Okay? He's named Emmanuel. He's named the Prince of Peace. He's named the Everlasting Father, the Almighty God. The Almighty God. Is Hezekiah called the Almighty God?
No. What Hezekiah is called is the mighty God is planning wonder, the eternal Father, a peaceable ruler. It's not describing the child as being the Almighty God. It's describing what the Almighty God. What the scholars are jokes.
He's destroying.
The scholars are jokes.
Oh, the scholars.
Wait, can you wait? I'm destroying the Hebrew here. I want you to. Yeah, I want you to read it. I want you to read the Hebrew for me, bud. I'm going to pull up the Hebrew.
And I'm gonna put in my Bible, man. Look, Derek, put in my Bible, man. This is
no. We're gonna look at the we're gonna look at the Hebrew. You're gonna read the Hebrew.
I have the Hebrew. I have the Hebrew here, dude. What a joke.
Yeah, here I'm pulling up right now. Read to me. Just read the Hebrew to us. Read the Hebrew.
I can't even read. I can't even see that, man. Hold on a second. Let me see. Okay.
Here. Let's
Kayeled. What is it? Kayeled. I don't know. I'm not that good at Hebrew. The point is, though, what's your argument as to why this is describing?
All it's telling us is Kiyeled Yulad Lanu, for unto us a child has been born, past tense. Ben Nitan Lanu, a son has been given to us. V'tehi Misra al Shechmu, and the government should be upon his shoulders. V'yikra Shemo, and the name by which he'll be called. And then we have a string of appellatives. Pele Yoetz El Gibor Aviad Sar Shalom. And the problem is that the way in which you break this up, it could mean a number of different things. And scholars have rightfully proposed, for example, in the Revised Jewish Publication Society, which, by the way, are from Jews who read Hebrew, unlike you.
The Jews who hate Christianity.
Christianity. They don't hate Christianity. No, these Jews don't care. They don't hate Christianity. I know, preemptively. These Jewish scholars don't give a shit about Christianity. These are just Jewish. And by the way, these Jewish scholars are from a multitude of different backgrounds, not just Orthodox Jews. We're talking conservative and Reform scholars, all coming together to try to do the best they can with the text. And they come to the conclusion that the text says that he shall be called the mighty God is planning grace, the eternal Father, a peaceable ruler. And that's a perfectly, no one can hear you. That's a perfectly acceptable translation of the text. And you don't know enough Hebrew to say otherwise.
It's acceptable. It's acceptable. Therefore, it's true, right? What did they say about it in the Second Temple period? Why is it only these modern Jews who say this? No. You don't care. You don't care because you want the one that suits you. But
because we recognize.
They knew what this said.
Because we recognize.
Let me talk. Let me talk. Let me talk now.
We recognize that the reason me and Derek don't really care all that much about like what Second Temple Jewish people says, because they lived hundreds and hundreds of years after when the prophet lived. And when Jewish people are confronted with failed prophecy, they have two options. They either have to throw out the prophet, and in this case, they don't want to do that because they like Isaiah, or you renegotiate with the prophet. And that's exactly what they did.
Derek, who has a better chance of translating this? A Second Temple Jew or a modern Jew who forgot Jewish for
By the way,
for thousands of years?
The Targums aren't translations; they're paraphrases.
By the way, when these people looked at this text, right, they didn't think, oh, it's talking about. They weren't trying to find some other weird understanding of this. They understood clearly right away that it's about the Messiah.
So you're saying this text had no significance for anyone for hundreds of years until Jesus showed up? Like no, he wrote this for people, and then 600-700 years later, you're thinking, of course, is that this isn't talking about anyone until much later.
No, brother. What I'm saying to you is, in the Second Temple period, before Jesus came, right? Second Temple Jews, they knew what this was about the Messiah.
We don't have any text prior to the time of Jesus that gives us an interpretation for Isaiah 9:6.
Yeah, right, bro.
What source do you have though that has Second Temple Jews that are using? Because here's the thing: you can find in the Qumran community where they use similar messianic kind of tendencies for their teacher of righteousness, or at least apply scriptures to their teacher of righteousness, the suffering servant, all that kind of stuff. I'm curious to know like what you're talking about, because I know me and Dalton were both Dalton was speaking for me, but I agree with Dalton. And that is that later Jews do reinterpret stuff. They do reapply things. But I think that the best historical method is to look back and go, if this person wrote this back in 700 something BCE, what were they likely talking about? And how was it relevant to their audience? I don't think he's saying 700 years down the road, problems will be solved by the Messiah. I think people recycle ancient sacred text and keep reapplying stuff to it. That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Even then they had this concept of the dual prophecy. So I do agree that, like, for example, when it says the Lord will give you a sign in Isaiah 7, that it is about like a child in their time, like probably the prophet's son. But then there's the true, like the kind of antitype of that prophecy is Jesus, that's what's going on there. But in the Targum, it talked about
when was the Targum written? Was it written before Jesus or after?
It's after Jesus, but still it's coming from, even you look, remember last time I was here, you were trying to say that that this stuff from like the from the Mishnah and stuff were basically quotes from Jesus's time. Well, why can't this be basically
the Targum dates to the 2nd century CE? It's not Mishnaic. It's not Mishnaic.
Yeah, I know, but you were trying to say the Mishnah was from 2nd century BC.
The portions where they quote individuals from the 1st century go back to the 1st century. Like,
yeah, they're quoting them, but we don't have actual quotes. We don't know what they actually said. It's just rewritten.
But Jonathan ben Uziel didn't live during the time of Jesus.
Yeah, but the fact is, they rewrite this. They honestly, even them after Jesus, they understood it as a messianic thing. So nowadays, Jews are trying to say that it's not messianic.
Real quick, Doc Pluromana, thanks for the super chat. Dead Sea Scrolls preserve Isaiah, but don't apply chapter 9 to a future crucified Messiah. No Pesher, no commentary doing that move. Self-owned?
What is this guy trying to say, dude?
We have no pre-Jesus references or commentaries that make the claim that Isaiah 9 is about the Messiah. We don't get that until the 2nd century CE.
Yeah, okay. 2nd century. Okay, that's fair enough.
It's weird. It's weird that the authors in the New Testament never quote this verse.
There's early post Second Temple in its written form, and yeah, the
is that not interesting? What Dalton just said, though, that the New Testament doesn't quote this verse. This is a verse you're using, but the New Testament's not quoting it.
Were they not aware of Isaiah 9:6?
No, they just didn't feel the need to. There's lots of verses they could have quoted. They didn't quote this one.
If what you're saying is true, that this is a prophecy that says that the Messiah is the Almighty God, that would have been a boon for especially the author of the fourth gospel.
No, why? They don't feel the need to justify themselves by.
They do it all the time. Matthew definitely feels the need to justify his position.
You feel the need to read it that way because that's what you think. That's how you think they think.
No. Toronto, no. We don't feel like we need to read it anyway. It feels like Christians today, such as yourself, are putting that interpretation on Isaiah 9, and we're reading it going, no, there's another way that scholars have been looking at this, and it's not the interpretation that this is talking about Jesus. You're saying it is.
It's not a consensus among scholars, by the way. You keep saying consensus. It's not a consensus. It's maybe it's a majority or something, but not the.
What is the majority?
Consensus.
That's a consensus.
Consensus doesn't mean everyone. No.
I know. I understand.
What the hell did you just do, bro?
Consensus, though. Do you not understand the difference between consensus and majority? And also, I'm not saying they're not the same. They're not the same at all.
Consensus does not mean everyone believes a thing.
Is this a sizable? I know. I didn't say that. However, if there's a sizable minority which is in opposition, that would not be a consensus of scholars, and we don't have that. And also, look, I don't know. I wanted to stay at 49. Really wanted to stay at 49. But what was the other thing you were saying about it? It was so ridiculous. Like, you had to yeah. You couldn't find a quote where the prophet is referred to as Israel.
Yeah, so Isaiah 49.
Oh, this example. This is the example.
Yeah,
you can't find another example.
Yeah, so because but here's the problem. Here's the problem, Toronto. You're never ever going to be able to convince me this is about Jesus unless you want. The only way you can do that is by having me throw out the meaning of words.
I can't. No. It's not about throwing out the meaning of words.
It is, because that's my entire reason for rejecting your position.
No, it's not.
It is.
You're ignoring the genre. You're ignoring the style.
I'm not ignoring the genre. The genre is prophecy.
The genre clearly uses that.
I don't think it does clearly use that. That's just a claim. No,
it isn't. They use it all the time. It's in all the prophets.
I deny that.
Every single prophet does that.
I deny that.
He's denying the obvious genre.
It's not
element.
obvious. It's not obvious.
Again, it is obvious.
If you were Toronto. If you were, like, for example, let's say you were dropped onto an island and you had perfect knowledge of the Hebrew language and you opened up the Hebrew Bible, you would not come to this conclusion. You would just read the text for what it plainly says. The only reason that you think it's obvious is because you begin with the position that this is about Jesus, and therefore it can't, even though the text says it's past tense, that it must mean something it doesn't say. That's
real
it.
Quick. Side Hustle Logistics 400. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Keep hustling. We love you. Thank you. Sorry.
No, nobody. No, it's okay. Sorry. No reasonable person would read this like that. If I had perfect knowledge of Hebrew on an island, I was reading this, and I read the whole book of Isaiah. And I understood that he's mounting prophecies. He tells us from 1 to 39, he's talking about their misadventures in Israel, and then from 40 on, he starts talking about something different. Clearly, so it's talking about this future return and all this stuff. Well, then I would definitely see that there's a future prophecy going on here. Also, after having read the rest of the Old Testament.
But if you didn't start with the belief in Jesus and you saw that the author was using first-person pronouns and the perfect tense to describe these actions, you would believe what I'm believing.
No, I wouldn't. Again, without believing in Jesus, just reading that book of Isaiah, right? I would reading the Old Testament and reading up to Isaiah. Then I know there's prophets. I know that there's a prophet to come. I know that there's like this notion of a greater prophet in the future.
Are you able to make an argument for the prophetic perfect without like presupposing Christianity? Are you able to make that argument from the text?
No, without presupposing, yes. Just because knowing that they have prophets, knowing that they believe in prophecy, knowing that as you're reading this book, that there's prophecies going on in this book, that the prophet is making prophetic claims about the future. And then when we read this type of thing, yes, the perfect, we could see that he's probably talking about the future. That's why people have been
No, why,
assuming this
why would
since
you
the
think?
ages.
No, why would you think that?
Because we've already seen that they're prophesying. We already see that there's this notion of prophets.
But prophets don't just talk about the future, do they? They also talk about things that are happening in their time and things that have happened. And if you don't repent, this is what will happen.
No, because again, when you say you come to the Cyrus thing, right? Cyrus is going to save the people. Well, the people haven't even been captured yet in Isaiah, right? So it's like,
no, they have.
What is going on here?
No, they have.
Again, you're doing this again. We're talking about me reading it on an island. We're not talking about your weird theories about.
So you're saying
Isaiah.
forget the text critical approach. You're saying pretend
Well,
Isaiah, all of Isaiah wrote in the 7th century, 8th century BC.
No, what I'm saying, that's what I do. Yes, that's what I believe. But I'm just saying, look, I'm a person on an island with the Bible, with a perfect knowledge of Hebrew, reading the Hebrew Bible, right? When I come to Isaiah, knowing that they have prophets, they have prophecies, they have this element in their culture already, in their understanding of the world, and reading Isaiah, reading up to 39, understanding that he's already spoken that they're going to be taken away and stuff, but that hasn't happened. Then in 40, things change. Things change all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it's like, well, what is he talking about? Oh, it's like they're coming back, or they're going to get called back.
Yeah, they might notice. They might notice that the author seems to be referring to the exiles as if they are just about to leave the exile, and he refers to a person named Cyrus that God has grasped by the hand, and they might think, oh, has there been a jump in the text, a jump forward in time? They might think that'd be more logical and reasonable.
No, that wouldn't be logical because again,
real quick, Mr. Morpheus 9707. Thank you for the super chat. This guy is using Origins Playbook. LOL. Thank you so much, Morpheus.
LOL, Morpheus. Anyway, what I'm saying to you, Derek, don't you think? Look, if you're reading this book, you're reading the book of Isaiah, right? You understand that they are that they have prophecies, that they believe in prophecy. You understand?
Yeah,
this.
And I also understand as a person.
Don't interrupt me.
Wait, no.
Jesus,
and I would understand as a person who understands prophecies that when you speak of the future, you use the imperfect tense because that's how Hebrew works.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Again, you're just not understanding. Obviously, if he's already been speaking about them being taken away to Babylon. But then in chapter 40, he's talking about them being brought back, right?
Yeah, so I would assume there's been a jump in the narrative.
Stop interrupting me, dude. Stop. You can't do it. You can't do it because your argument sucks. So you must interrupt. You must mute me.
Thus saith Toronto.
Again, look, he asked me. This is what he asked me for. He asked me to, if I was on an island and I knew Hebrew and I was reading the book, what would I think? Well, you're on an island, you're reading Hebrew, you're reading the book. There's prophecies, there's prophets. This thing, the prophet's talking about them being taken away to Babylon in the whole first part of the book. And then after chapter 40, he's talking about how they're going to be brought back. Well, that's clearly a prophecy about the future because the prophet, it was talking about them being taken away in the future for him. He's not going to even be alive when they're taken away.
I would do the natural thing. I would assume that we have a jump forward in time, and now we're like,
no, you wouldn't. That's not natural. That's not the natural thing.
No, that would be the natural. Based on the tenses.
It would not. Again, we are reading a book about prophecies with prophets, with angels, with
but here's the fundamental problem, Toronto. You don't seem to be able to understand that prophets don't only talk about the future, but they also talk about the present and things that have occurred.
Yeah, I know, but wow, dude, ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. I already said this.
Hold on, real quick. Alan, thank you, Kurt, for the super chat. Not much is more imperfect than TBS's arguments.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Tell me more about the Mayan alphabet, you absolute clown. Anyway.
Okay, next super chat real quick. We got to get through these. Mind-wise, thank you, says, gotta show love on both sides, and please, there better not be a Christian in the queue. Anything is better than this clown GFP rock hard for gape. What is it?
Gaping for Peggy.
Gaping for Peggy, and then rock hard for Doug.
Sick stuff.
Thank you.
Stick in your head, dude. Stick in your head.
Hey, bud, I'm just saying the male G-spot is in the prostate. You don't know heaven until you've been pegged. That's all I gotta say.
Thanks for the super chat. Resistance.
Wow.
Resistance.
Tells us a lot.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him for a second. Resistance.
Can I finally get my
Hold
argument
on, let me finish this super chat, and then you're more than welcome to. Your argument sucks. Dog empowered speech, probably.
Anyway, look, Derek, this is what this person does.
Uh-oh.
He'll ask me for an argument, and then he'll just like silence me or talk over me. He's asking me like, if a person, look, if you're on an island and you're reading the Bible in Hebrew, right? You have perfect knowledge of Hebrew, you're reading the Bible. There's a story about God doing miracles, creating the world, having prophets predicting the future. And the prophet in Isaiah is talking about how they're going to get taken away to Babylon in the future. The future. Then in chapter 40, we start reading about how they're going to be brought back. So a normal reader, excuse me, stop. Don't do that. A normal reader, normally just reading a book, assuming that there's one author, as normal readers do when they read a book.
Well, I wouldn't assume that.
Normal readers, when they read a book, assume there's one author. That's normally the genre. Generally, the genre we assume there's one author in a book. When we read one book, there's one author. So then,
but if I came across something like this,
interrupting again.
Question. Here's a good question. Does the person in question on the island know that King Cyrus lived a century after Isaiah?
What he would know is that Isaiah was speaking about a prophecy when they will be taken away. And then later on in the book, we hear about their being brought back. Well, if the future of them being taken away is the future for Isaiah, he's not even going to be alive then. Then we know that them being brought back is also in the future. And there's no reason to assume that it's another author because we know there's a book of prophecies. We understand this.
So does the person in question does the person in question in this hypothetical, are they aware that Cyrus lived 100 years or so after Isaiah?
No, he doesn't even know who Cyrus is, right?
All right, then they would just assume that Cyrus was alive during the time of Isaiah, and that.
No, they wouldn't. They would assume.
Wait, why?
They would assume because they would assume that because Isaiah is not talking about taking away to Babylon that's going to occur in his lifetime. He's not talking about that.
They would just be very confused at this point, and if they don't have all the historical facts.
No, they wouldn't. Well, yeah, it would be difficult. It would be difficult. It would be difficult to read. It would be difficult to interpret. It would be. But a careful reader would come to the conclusion that it's about a prophecy and that it's about something in the future.
The future parts are about the exaltation.
Kelly, thank you for the super chat and being a member. Thus saith Toronto. Thank you so much. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, Dalton, it seems like you're saying the fact that we have Cyrus explicitly named in the text, like explicitly the name of the guy, is a red flag that usually people who are approaching material, who are studying this, would say, hey, that's a cue that they wrote this at the time or after the time a guy really named Cyrus would exist. Instead, usually prophecies that I know of, that I hear people try to make predictions of the future, don't really name the guy or girl. They vaguely do Nostradamus kind of stuff, like down the line in the future, the Lord will bless an anointed man. He will be born from a woman and he will have, but they don't go like, hey, Bobby Joe riding in his Camaro, or, like hyper.
It's even worse than that, because it's like the prophet is speaking to Bobby Joe. It says, Bobby Joe, God has been with you. He has gone before you and he has grasped you by the hand. I wouldn't assume that that's something that's going to happen in the future.
Oh, we got more.
There's no reason to assume that.
Resistance, thank you. Chrissy's are thin-skinned and lack social skills. They just want to preach and ramble without interruption. Yawn. Thank you for the super chat, Resistance. Any comment on that?
Well, I would just like to be able to make my argument without being interrupted, and that's what.
Okay. So I'm just going with the super chats. Interrupt us too. I interrupted Dalton a minute ago. We gotta take the super chats. You know this. You know how.
I'm okay with the super chats.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Melandinez says, "Is he drunk? Are you drunk?" Is the question.
No, they always ask you that. I don't know. I guess I just talk like that. I don't know what my problem is, but
okay.
I guess they just have that thing.
And scared of werewolves, super chat. Thank you so much. A clown house would be more appropriate in Toronto's backyard rather than a cross.
Okay, buddy. What is it? Are you just trying to criticize my argument, or are they just going to insult me personally? It's ridiculous how you guys have no actual argument.
I've been doing enough criticizing.
No. Your argument is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Oh, the only time we ever see a prophet referred to as Israel is here. Therefore, this is all we need.
Yeah, because that's how.
There's no other example. No, it's not how words work.
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Bear with me. I got to use the restroom.
Well, good.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Anyway,
bud.
dude, it's
When
ridiculous,
when
bro.
I
It's
see
ridiculous.
first person pronouns in every other instance in my life, I assume that the speaker is the one who's like referring to themselves.
No, because that's because you're not trying to take this genre seriously. There is
I
that
do
kind
take it. I think I take it more seriously than
Excuse
you
me, excuse me.
do.
Stop interrupting me, dude. Stop
Where
interrupting me.
where in the
The
text
fact that
does
you
it
have to interrupt
indicate?
me, the
Where
fact
in the
that you have
text?
to interrupt me.
Where in the text?
Where in the text does it indicate that
Where in the text does it indicate for us that the speaker is a future individual? Where does it say that? That would be how I would find out if it's about the Messiah
listen,
speaking.
dude. The fact that you have to interrupt me before I can even finish my statements shows that your argument is weak. You have no argument. I'm not crying.
Would you like a
No,
bottle?
you don't. I don't interrupt you. I don't interrupt you.
Would you mind answering my question?
No, you answer my question. Look, when was a prophet ever referred to as Israel?
Isaiah 49.
Never. Yeah, exactly.
Isaiah 49.
See? Exactly.
That's only
example you have.
that's the only
the
reason
one
you don't
example
like
that's
that is
suggested.
because of
You
your
have to-
theological
It's called begging the question.
presuppositions.
You're begging the question.
You are begging the
Argument is
question.
garbage. No, you're
The
the
only
one.
thing-
You're
the
the one.
only thi-
You
okay,
have
wait a
not
minute.
shown a single.
The only thing I've done in this conversation is assume that words mean what words mean. But we do have a super chat here from @Steve Watson. All the Tanakh / Septuagint is post 270 BC. All prophecy is after the fact. Just all the New Testament is post Bar Kokhba. We know this because GMK maps too well on that war, and Daniel prophecy is crap. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that Proto-Isaiah was written during the 7th century BCE, and that we do have works that precede 270 BC. So I'll say that. Anyways, so we just don't start with your theological assumptions, and I just start with the assumption that words mean what they mean.
Look, you know what? You guys are just like you're not serious, man.
I'm super serious. I just don't think you're very serious.
No, I'm very serious. You guys are a joke. You guys
take yourself. You definitely take yourself seriously. I'll give you that.
No example. No example.
I've given you an example.
Isaiah, no example when Isaiah.
I have.
Or any prophecy, any prophet referred to as Israel for this.
I have Isaiah 49.
So, exactly. The one in question is the only one you have. So it's called begging the question. That is what.
It's not begging the question.
Yes,
I'm not begging. No, begging.
Exactly
what do you think begging the question is? What do you think begging the question is?
That your own conclusion in the argument.
No, I demonstrate my conclusion based on the data in the text.
No, there's no reason to do it. Again, as I showed you in Isaiah 49, it talks about him being called from the womb. We have no evidence that Isaiah was called from the womb.
Well, it's not about
Isaiah. No evidence that Isaiah is being called to be
if I tell you some fact about myself, is that evidence that I at least believe that about myself?
No, again, you're just asserting this. You're asserting.
No, that was an assertion. That was Toronto. That wasn't Toronto. That was an assertion. That was a Toronto. That wasn't an assertion. That was a question. If I write you a letter, I'll just mute you if I have to. If I write you a letter and I say in the letter that God has called me before I was born, would you at least believe that I believe that God called me before I was born?
No, I wouldn't, because Isaiah was called when he's an adult.
But that's not Isaiah.
Again, this is so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Right.
He's trying to say, see what he's trying to say? Oh, Isaiah said he was called from the womb. Isaiah said he was called from the womb.
Did we get these?
Isaiah.
I read that.
Did we get all of them? We got one that just showed up. Did you get the Steve Watson one?
I got the Steve Watson one. I didn't get this one.
Oh, you did. What about
the Derek? Look, I'm gonna dip, man. Look, Derek. This thing with Gnostic informant, I'm gonna make a video and show you how this person lied on me and try to say I was lying. He's the one who's lying. Okay, I will prove it. I've done proved it already. I'm gonna post the link and I'll tag you. All right, later.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one, Toronto. Look, give Chigger a notepad and 3 minutes to lay out it out. I think. Lay it out. And then we got another super chat here. Simeon Urchin 7630. Genuinely, all of TCB's arguments aren't persuasive in the slightest. It's all just begging the question and special pleading. I'm genuinely trying here. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are feeling, that frustration, and it's hard. It's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough. I don't know what else to say. It's tough dealing with it when you have someone who's, I think, starting with a conclusion and then trying to fight that evidence that, seems to point that way. And then we have albeit Ashland. Is that it? Ashland?
Yes.
Okay, I got it this time. Toronto, you try to gish gallop and cry meta when your first claim gets argued before you can flood the debate.
She's a smart lady. I'd listen to that.
Smart. Thank you so much for all those supports. We have another caller in the back. Definitely look forward to chatting with. And then after this one, I want to go eat because I just went to go use the restroom. I could smell the spaghetti in the kitchen cooking. I'm
my stomach is, we've been cooking this whole time, but my stomach is rumbling too.
Yes. All right. Christopher, welcome to MythVision.
Shalom, salam alaikum, peace be with you guys.
Hey,
how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I just had some spaghetti, no lie.
Maybe there's a synchronicity happening in the universe.
And garlic bread. You got garlic bread?
Definitely garlic bread. Have to have it. So,
yes, have to.
You've been in the back for a while. Apologies for the long wait. Thanks for being patient. What's up? Are you arguing that Jesus is the Messiah? And what would you want to focus on?
Well, I've never been here before, but I was scrolling through and I came across your channel listening to what his name, Toronto, was saying. Yeah. And mind you, I'm not a Christian. I'm not affiliated with any religion. However, I've actually studied all the books and I write thesis papers on books. So when you guys pulled up Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, I actually wrote a thesis on this very scripture verse. So the gentleman that was speaking, so unto us a child, that word there is yachled. And it's actually, so you have child and then you have son. And those are very distinct in the noun that they're given and the description meaning of what that is. So the child that's born is flesh. They call it the Son of Man. However, the son that's given, and if you tap on that word there in your concordance, if you have one, I'll wait if you want to look for it, and that's ben or bene, that can be a metaphorical or a structure in the manner of like what priests, when they offer an offering, it's for the whole community. It's not just for a single thing. Like an individual person can offer a sin offering, but when it's going to be a community sacrificial type lamb, then the whole community is given this lamb. So in it says a son. So the son is the spirit, son of God, not son of man. They're very distinct in that verse. However, it doesn't strictly say it's Yeshua. However, we can go to other verses to see prophecy that was way back in Adam's day that will refer to a virgin bearing a son. However, yes, I understand your arguments where many people have claimed, including the first one of them was Semiramis back in the Babylon or the Tower of Babel. She claimed to be a virgin coming out of a cave and had a son of God in that sense.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First things first is that the text of Isaiah 9 doesn't mention a son of man at all. It never mentions that. Although son of man, ben Adam, just means human being because it means son of Adam, and we're all sons of Adam.
The word Yalad, it's specifically an offspring, meaning it's flesh.
A child.
It's flesh. Yeah.
So what we have here in Isaiah 9:6, or if you're Jewish, Isaiah 9:5, is what's called Hebrew parallelism. It's when Jewish authors.
No. First of all, let me stop you for a minute. Don't say the word Jewish. I don't like the word Jewish. I'm an Israelite from the tribe of Levi. Jews are a diverse group of people that are claiming to be a race from a religion from the land of Judea. The word is Yehudite, which is from the tribe of Judah. It's not the Jew. A Jew, you can't claim to be a Jew and have multiple tribes and then call yourself a Jew. When Jew in any text it says Yehudite. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Incorrect. Can you spell
incorrect? All right, wait. Let's bring it up. Bring it up. I want you to bring it up on stage so the people watching can see it. The word Jew in any Old Testament, what is it referring to? Is it referring to an Israelite or is it referring to a specific tribe called Yehudite?
No,
Judah.
So in Hebrew, it's pronounced Yehuda.
No, it's Yehudite. It's a Yehudite.
No, spell it for me in Hebrew.
It's Yehudite. Pull it up. Pull it. I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
If this guy's not going to pull it up, I'll pull it up and prove to all the people watching that you're corrupted. You're corrupting the actual text. Jew is not a race of people. It never was. It was known as a religion that came out of Judea when they started writing the thing called the Talmud. Don't lie. Don't lie.
Whoa.
Are you a Jew? Are you a Jew? Are you claiming to be a Jew?
Honey, just chill out. Okay.
Yeah, just calm down, buddy. Calm down. Calm down.
All right. I'm asking you a question. Are you claiming to be a Jew?
I'm not Jewish. I'm a Gentile.
No, but are you?
Oh, I am not a Jew. I'm an Israelite.
Okay,
I'm from the tribe of Levi. Fact, I'm a Pashtun. I am a Pashtun in Afghanistan.
Are you genetically a tribe of Levite?
Genetically, from the paternal, not maternal, paternal side of the Levitical priesthood.
Okay. I've got the word for Jew on the screen right now. I want you to spell out letter for letter.
Judahite in English, or do you want the Hebrew version?
The Hebrew.
I could care less about whether. Do you think that when a scribe describes it into English, it's going to differ in the meaning? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer the question. Answer the question.
Hold on, Christopher. Yeah,
man, this guy, he's going to mute me constantly without answering a question.
We have to have a back and forth capable conversation here. Go ahead, Dalton. What were we trying to get at?
The letter chet, which produces the guttural sound, isn't present in the word Yehudi. So it's Yud Hey Vav Dalet Yud. It's from Yehuda.
So there's no He. So you're saying there's no He? There's no He?
There's no letter chet. The letter
chet, there is. That's an H. Are you crazy, insane? All right, I'm going to pull up everyone. I'll pull up the pictograph for this guy and everything else because he doesn't know Hebrew. These guys claim that they can speak Hebrew or get Hebrew. They're getting it from what's going on today from Jews. Jews are not Israelites. Sorry to burst your bubble, my friend, but you're making a false claim. You're making a false claim.
Anyways, so I'll just continue what I was saying. So no, the letter that produces the guttural ch sound in Hebrew is the letter chet. So no one can see your screen. Anyways, I'm aware of what pictographic Hebrew is. That's just a different way of writing the letters. This is
my friend. You can't say there's a different way. Otherwise, if there's a different way of Hebrew, then you're talking something of Yiddish or a different way of New Age Jews today. I don't care for Jews. Jews are the little horn that comes out of America. It was created. And don't call me honey. You're a fool. Listen to him. Listen to this guy. He's mocking people.
Listen,
anybody can come to Captain Skeleton Man, my channel, and I'll shut these people down. I write thesis papers.
We really had to end
these guys just beg for money. You beg for money. Super chat. Thank you for $5. You beg people for money. You're just as corrupt as any religion in the world.
What is the name of the channel?
You don't teach any truth. You beg for money from YouTube. Go get a real job. Go get a real job.
What is the name
You're
of the
not
channel?
a teacher. You're not a teacher. I'm the teacher. You're not.
What's the name of the channel?
It's Captain Skeleton Man.
Captain Skeleton.
You see how they mock and they laugh? They do this when they get shut down, when they don't have truth. The beast in Daniel 7 is America. The little horn is this new Israel being created. That's taking all your money. That's taking all your money right now, and your gas is all high because you're attacking people of Islam because you're Islamophobic. You're nutcases, every one of you. And you don't know the word Yehuda.
Christopher, did you take any substances before the show began?
Oh, he's going to falsely accuse me of doing drugs. You're lame. You're lame, bro.
That was an accusation. That was a question. I just wanted to know whether or not.
Come with something other than that nonsense.
Yeah, you can't. You have
come with something better than that. That's all you can say. Are you on drugs? Or look, the devil's manifesting. That's all. You people are the same anywhere I go.
I don't believe
you can't debate me. Anyway, it states a son is a son is given.
You are correct that I can't debate you because you just yell.
God so loved the world, he gave his only son. What is son? A spirit or flesh? Spirit or flesh?
Flesh. Jesus of Nazareth was made of flesh.
Son is not flesh. A child is the flesh. The word there tells you. You're so ignorant, man.
You don't know
You're
Hebrew.
so ignorant.
You don't know Hebrew.
I just pulled it up for you.
You pulled up the
I pulled it up for you. I tried to get you to read. What is the difference between son and child? Are there two different words in that verse?
They're synonyms.
Are they? Oh my God! He thinks they're synonyms. Do you see this? This guy is an absolute
Hold on.
moron.
Nine Wise, thanks for the super chat. Okay, I'll have Toronto back then.
I know. This person makes
A
Toronto
complete
look like
moron.
this person makes Toronto look like a fucking genius. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, you're gonna read super like I care about the peanut gallery that pays you money. You're gonna agree with anybody who gives you some kind of money, bro. I like likes and loves on my channel. You're lame. You have no knowledge. There's two separate words there. Are those two separate words in the Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6? Are those two distinct Hebrew words that have different meaning?
No, not
and you're
different
saying they're
meanings.
synonyms?
Yeah.
You know what a synonym is?
Yeah, two words that mean the same thing.
I could say a dog and a canine. That's a synonym.
Yes, and child.
These
and
words
son is a
here,
synonym.
these are a child. The word there is what? Yahlet. What is the son word?
Yeah.
What is the son? Yahlet. Yes, it is. It's Yahlet. Yes.
It's Yeled.
It's not yeah. There's no E. There's no such thing as any consonant in the Hebrew. There's no consonants in the Hebrew language. Be quiet.
Wait, no consonants.
I
think E is not a consonant, sir. It's
You're
a vowel.
crazy. You're crazy. Val. I mean Val. Yeah, Val. You're right. I caught you. You're paying attention. No, you didn't, because you're the one trying to say the E has a pronunciation. I busted you just now. Yah is Yah. He, El, Lamed, and then Daleth. That's Yalet.
Dalet.
And it means something. By the way, the next word is Bane. Bane.
It's just, no, it's not. It's not.
Yes, it's Bane.
Here, shut the
You
fuck
can
up,
pronounce it.
What? Yeah, shut
You can pronounce it bin.
So the word in
There's
Isaiah
meaning.
chapter 9 verse 6 is just the word ben. It's not bene. Bene is the plural form of ben, which means children or sons. Yeah, I know you've got your screen up, bud, but I can actually bring up the actual Hebrew so that everyone can see.
Real quick, super chat from iMix. What I like, Jab. Thank you for the super chat. Dalton, please mute him.
Complete fool. Your channel, I just shut you down, man. I just shut your whole channel down.
That's weird.
You think you know what you're talking about. You don't.
Isaiah
These guys really don't. They really don't know what they're talking about.
Says
he's going to pull up his own. He's going to pull up his own.
Kiyeled Yulid Lanu.
He's going to pull up the.
Where's the word bene here? Show me, Christopher. Man, he is wild.
Stop muting. Bani. B-A-N. Listen to me. B-A-N-I. Is that plural or singular?
B's
singular, plural.
B's not a Hebrew letter.
Sons of God is Bene. Bani. Bani. Sons. Bene is singular.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, just like the word bar. Bar for girls. Bar is for girls, and it's singular.
No, bat means
he
daughter.
Doesn't know.
He
doesn't even know.
Let me ask the guest here real quick. What is your point, though, in all of this? Like, what is the point?
You're the ones claiming. You're the ones claiming Jesus is not the Messiah.
Well, we're saying we don't believe he is. Yeah, we don't think Isaiah 9 is talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, what's your evidence that it's not talking about Jesus?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would go ahead, Dalton.
Jesus wasn't born in the 8th century BCE, and the child in question was already born.
8th century BC?
Yeah.
Why does it need to be born in 8th century BC?
Because it says, unto us a child has been born, not a child shall
be born. No. See, you don't know. Do you know the day that King Herod died? What year did King Herod die?
4 BCE.
4 BCE. And 2 years after, it took him 2 years to slaughter 144,000 from every tribe. 2 years he was doing that. He didn't just do it right away.
What source is that?
Then in the next scripture, it says that the Magi went to visit this child who became 2 years old. So what's 4 plus 2?
You said
4 plus 2 is 6 BC.
Okay. I can't even talk, and I'm hosting, with you. So I'm trying to ask about the 144,000. Christopher, can you write in the side that you'll let me speak? Because I haven't been able to talk at all, Dalton.
It's crazy.
And I know you and him are going back and forth, but if I can't even talk, what's the point? He said 144,000 he slaughtered, that Herod slaughtered. I need that source because I've never heard that before.
Yeah, he said it happened after 4 BCE, which would mean it happened after Herod was already dead.
Yeah.
That's a feat.
Yeah, real quick super chat here. Thank you so much. Green Country Agroforestry, really appreciate it. Scholarship is nice, debate is interesting, but this is a competition of egos. There's no wisdom here.
Well,
okay.
I don't know about all that, but
all right. So I just want to recognize them. So okay, Christopher, I'm bringing you back on here real quick here. What source do you have for the 144,000 being slaughtered by Herod, or 2 years after Herod?
That's in the Gospels.
144,000 were slaughtered
not from each tribe. 144,000 from each tribe, and it was a 2-year span, because when the Magi came, they just didn't come with 3 kings, because you probably heard three kings, that song, right?
What
from Orient.
It
was a whole horde of people that came Magi wise.
What exact text says 144,000 from each tribe?
Yeah, let me pull it up. I'll pull it up for you. Hang on.
Yeah,
I've never heard of
that. You never read the Bible? You've never read your Matthew?
I've never read 144,000.
Which scripture verse where 144,000 are killed from each tribe?
That's in Revelation, but it's not from each tribe. 12,000.
That's the sealed. That's the sealed people in Revelations.
Here, I'll help you out. I'll help you out,
that,
Christopher.
King Herod slaughtered 144,000 from Tyre to Sidon. Where in the Bible for them? Matthew 2, verse 16 through 18.
All right. I have it up. I have it up on the screen here.
Okay.
So we'll see where it mentions specifically.
It's a massacre of innocent people.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see where it says 144,000. When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the Magi, he was infuriated, and he sent and killed all the children in around Bethlehem who were 2 years old and under, according to the time that he had learned from the Magi. Then what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing in loud lamentation. Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they were no more. Where is this 144,000 at?
This is called the Massacre of Innocents. This event refers specifically to Bethlehem and its surrounding. Some traditional accounts, which are the church fathers, the original people who gave you the Bible, have mentioned the 144,000 from every tribe.
Where?
That's why later in Revelations it declares no one knows, no one can claim his generation or any of the people that were born when Jesus was born, because they were all wiped out. They were all wiped out. That's why he has no generation to speak of. There's nobody was there. They took him into Egypt. Meanwhile, for 2 years, any child from 2 years and under were slaughtered by Herod because they were afraid a king was going to be born. Why would Herod, the ruler of the whole empire, why would he have a great fear to start slaughtering children? Think about that. If 3 guys came up to you and said, "Hey, where's the baby?" You're not going to freak out. But when a horde of Magi, because that was a horde that come, you're going to start freaking out. And especially if they stay in your land for 2 years. To make sure that child doesn't get slaughtered by this wild man Herod. And 4 plus 2 equals what?
Yeah, 6.
6. So in 6 BC is when the Christ was born. The Mashiach was born in 6 BC, not 1 Adonai, like they always say, 1 AD. No, it's 6 BC. You said 8. You give me, why do you say 8?
They usually
That's
say
improper math.
Under Quirinius's census, and then also from the Herod stuff, which would contradict between Matthew and Luke. Quirinius is doing this in the Common Era, and that's 10 years distance between Herod. So you have a problem between the genealogy, the narrative, the birth narratives between Matthew and Luke. But you agree with the church fathers and their interpretations of these things?
Now, when I say church fathers, I'm not speaking on religious Catholicism. Galileans were the ones that followed the Christ. Peter himself and 1 John call Paul an antichrist. I don't believe in Paul's letters. Paul's ridiculous. He's an antichrist. 1 John tells you if they say they came from us. So Jesus specifically told these guys, don't go to the Gentiles. They get this from a resurrected man. They physically saw the guy. This guy has a vision, and now he's going to start going to the Gentiles, which was forbidden by the Mashiach. Don't go to the Gentiles.
I'll tell you
That's why I say I don't believe in Paul's letters. First John accuses him of being an antichrist.
I'll give you this. I'll give you this, Christopher. That's the first non-crazy thing you've said in this entire conversation.
No, I'm telling you, you better start understanding that when you get your point of view from a religion, It's going to always be altered already.
I don't get my point of view from
yes,
religion, but
you just got it because you think son and child are not separate.
Apologetics 400 with the $9.99. If you're an Israelite, how could you believe the Jesus narrative when Jesus is supposed to be a Jew and Jews aren't Israelites? Well, then Harriet was around Israel, was around gone 700 years.
Let's ask the chat. How many tribes were in Israel during the time of the Mashiach? Dude, does he even know that? Or is he just babbling in the chat because he doesn't have any wisdom? There was only three. There was Levi, because Levi had to do the priestly work. There was the eldest, because it takes two witnesses to testify of the Mashiach. So you had the eldest, Judah, and then the youngest was Benjamin. Everyone else had been exiled to different lands. Occasionally they would come in and maybe be fishermen or do work, but there was only three tribes. Tobiah Singer, who is a big rabbi, he'll even tell you there was only three. I mean, of all things he says, he gets that right, but everything else he's pretty nutty on, because he's claiming to be an Israelite and he's not. He's a Jew, which is diverse.
If I may chime in just to make the point, I think most people would think that there were typically understood to be three tribes. I think the reason they do that is because the other tribes were already scattered back under Assyria 800 years earlier. So most people believe the lost tribes have been lost. The historical critical scholarship that I study believe that they have been completely lost. And there are other course mythologies that they're on the other side of a river or on the other side of a mountain. And they're going to be regathered real quick, because I haven't talked a lot during this. You can go to Josephus. Josephus will say that the lost tribes are east of the Euphrates without number, beyond numbering, that they are not in Rome. But we do actually have tribesmen or people from other tribes, according to the Gospels, in Jerusalem or in Galilee, in this region, in the territory where Jesus is located. And I say that because there's a woman from a whole nother tribe, and I can't remember the name of the tribe.
Dina.
Is it Dana?
Dina, D-I-N-A-H. And by the way, I just have to, when you said lost tribes, that's a made up thing as well. That's made up because, first of all, if we have if they created a Talmud, which is the history of the exile into Assyria and Babylon, how are they lost? If you're writing books in your history, how are you lost?
Hold on, you mean to say that there wasn't a scattering, a dispersion of the northern kingdom that Assyria
never
did?
Most of the people went into Afghanistan. Any word like when you got Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, not necessarily just Pakistan. Most of the Pashtuns have migrated towards that because most of them are Indian Muslims who left Hinduism and then they wanted their own land. If you look at Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, anything that ends in stan in that area, that's your tribes. They were always there. They got conquered by caliphates, and then kind of their identities became suppressed. And then America in World War II creates this diverse group of fake Jews who now are causing the world global problems right now. And this is a fact. So these people have never been lost. They've always been there.
What I was trying to say is there is in the gospel a woman from a whole nother tribe.
Dina. Yeah.
That is highlighted. So it's not exclusively only the three tribes. You have people who are identified in the gospel that aren't just from those three, but I would say you would probably agree with me that the predominant tribes that exist in the region were three major tribes, right?
Yes, three major tribes. And then every once in a while, people would come into the land for work or to visit their parents, so on and so forth, or relatives, because they're all, it's a clan. Tribes are clans. So it'd be like if you take a vacation to go visit your grandmother who lives in a different state. America's huge compared to Israel. So you can imagine the traveling distance would kind of be the same as you going to visit your grandparents. But Dina is where they get the lost tribe analogy from, is because Dina's not really mentioned anymore. Like she's mentioned as being one of Jacob's daughters, 13th tribe in a sense, but then you don't really hear anything about her at all. That's where they get that lost tribe story from, is because who's Dina? What is her lineage? Who seeded her to create babies, right? Because a man has to seed the woman.
In the Hebrew Bible, there are passages where the northern dispersion takes place. And of course, you have people who go to the south from the north, probably bringing some of their stories. And then, of course, you have this documented in Assyrian records as well. You're not saying that the dispersion of actual people from the land didn't happen under Assyria.
I'll explain to you where they create this word dispersion in the sense of like what that guy was saying. They're going to come back to Israel. People are going to come back, right? No, I have my relative. These are relatives of mine. Okay, and anybody can come to my channel and I'll prove my genealogy. So there was a Muslim princess named Zayd of Seville. She married Alfonso. Zayd is a great grandmother of mine. She married this guy named Alfonso, and then she converted into Islam. This is happening in Spain. She gives birth to a daughter named Isabel. This Isabel gives birth to the Queen Isabella, who married Ferdinand II. What did King Ferdinand II and Queen Isabella do? They kicked out Jews, these people that were in the land claiming that they were Israelite, but they were Jews, seat of the synagogue of Satan. So they kicked them out. And this is the actual dispersion where Christopher Columbus brings them to America and they get spread out. And then later on after World War II, then they are like, oh, we're Israelites, let's go back to the land. And then they start taking land from people. They've created this wars and all this other chaos. And then they're trying to create Islamophobia around for everyone else in the world to go against another group that was already residing there.
Okay, so real quick. Let me get some super chats real quick. Valena, thank you so much for the super chat. Israel and Palestine back then was united. Thank you so much for that super chat. Appreciate the recognition. And then Jam Nick, thank you for the super chat. Captain Skeleton Man, huh? So you didn't want to keep the name the press gave you after J6 Lectern guy?
J6, who is this? I don't know what he's talking about.
January
I'm known by
6th.
look. My videos are played. Billions of people see me because that podcasters like Muslim Lantern, Christian Prince. You know these guys are Sam Shimon, God Logic. They use my videos when I appear on a podcast. They'll clip my videos and then try to make money and profit off of me.
Were you present for January 6th at DC?
No.
I think that's what they're talking about. That the guy that
I'm not even. I'm not even American. I don't even live in America. So how could I be present in that land?
I think it's just they're making a humorous comparison between your appearance and the guy who's dressed up in that. Listen, Christopher, I need to go eat some dinner. I don't know about you, Dalton, but this has been a wild ride of a live stream, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't take any more crazy. But
I can't take any more lack of understanding and education that you actually have.
Ditto.
When you deny, when there's a history, all books are just histories of men. I hope you understand that. All books are history of men. Do you believe?
Oh, my bad. Anyways.
So look, I'm ready to go eat. That was interesting. I will say that was very interesting.
Yeah.
My gosh. How do you unpack that? Look, there's no getting our side out. There's no you can't even talk. So you just it's like a one-way street. And so I'm trying to understand where did the 144. I'm noticing things. I'm like, there's a little bit of an over.
This person, just to say that this person has a surface level knowledge of the Bible would be giving him too much credit. He's bought into a lot of conspiracy theories. Obviously, he's obviously conflating an actual passage from Revelation, which mentions that there will be 144,000 Jewish people, bud, who from 12,000 from each tribe who will come to know Jesus in the last days. And he doesn't know jack shit about Hebrew. I'll probably break it down later on my channel or something like that. But yeah, guy didn't know Hebrew.
Yeah. That got interesting. This is what everybody was talking about. Just, I know you don't want to see him again, but this is what they're referring to. Oh, wrong one. Here it is. This guy.
That guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And those are the real Israelites right there in January 6th. I didn't even get to press on that. That was an interesting, I'm a real Israelite, they're all fake Israelites kind of thing. What?
Everyone thinks they're special.
That's actually, I did an interview with an academic who goes in and shows that the myth of the Israelites and who is an Israelite, people have been adopting this. The British Israelites, of course, European Israelites. You got Black Hebrew Israelites. You've got.
I saw that episode. It was good.
Did you really?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Zvi Ben-Dor Benit. I'm not sure who the academic was that I interviewed at that time, but there's something in the air, that gets people going.
Everyone just they love this book and they really want it to be about them. So they have to make themselves part of the people group that the book was actually about.
Yeah, I miss Toronto now.
Yeah,
I
I
really
actually do.
miss.
Toronto, if you're listening, I love you to death. More than I will, more than Christopher. Christopher just is everything wrong with biblical debates.
Come back, Toronto, in the future. No, seriously, that was so much fun. I really no, but seriously, I want to be real. I want to be real. Me and Toronto don't agree on almost everything Bible, okay? But as a human, like engaging with him, he's much more I'd say tolerable, right? Like in terms of debate and argument, like he's not trying to call names or like go too far. You know what I mean? And I was worried that Christopher might go too far, but he didn't go too far. He went far enough. Okay, he went far enough. I'll just say that. But like, I was like, okay, I'm glad he's not saying a bunch of obscenities or something on YouTube. Brian Peck, I need Columbus secreting Jews to America unpacked.
Did Christopher say something about that? I kind of tuned him out at one point.
There was a lot there. There was so much being said. I
agree with this one right here. Wait a minute, where's that? Christopher greater. I mean, no, Christopher. I think you meant that backwards. Christopher is not greater than Toronto. Toronto, you may have got that symbol backwards. It's Toronto who's greater than Christopher.
And then we got Mr. Anderson in the house. Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. Looks like I missed a wild one. Keep up the great work. I got to go see this from the beginning. You really should. There's quite an interesting row of discussions, I think. Finally, you got to skip like 50 minutes into the video to find people calling in. Dalton, this has been a hoot. I always love do these with you. It's fun. And, you and I love diving into this stuff as people who studied the Bible, believed it, and now don't believe it. And I don't know. What else do you want to add?
Everyone just, hey, I'm trying to grow the channel. I'm trying to, this is literally my only job I have right now. So if you're not subscribed already to the Bible Guy show, we go live 4 days a week for 3 hours a day. Make sure go over to the channel and subscribe. I'm at almost 7,000.
Let's get it. Yeah, let's bump them up, get them over 7K. Here it is in my chat. I just dropped it. Be sure to go subscribe. I really enjoy that you're not, you're also very decent and patient when you're trying to argue these things, but there comes a point where you try, but there comes a point where you kind of go,
you just dust the sandals off your feet, to use an expression I've heard before,
Absolutely. Jesuit Slayer in the house. Thank you so much. Is there any other character in scripture, Jewish history, or the Dead Sea Scrolls that shares the fisher of men motif other than Christ and Belial?
Jeremiah, I can't remember the chapter off the top of my head right now, but I think the authors of the Gospels are, because I'm not quite convinced that the apostles were actually fishermen. I think that's a motif that's being thrust upon them. But I think the authors of the Gospels are drawing upon the words of Jeremiah, where it says in the last days, I will send out hunters to hunt him. I will send out fishers to fish for them, talking about the returning of the exiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's this idea of bringing back, restoring Israel. I think there's Joseph Atwell tried to make the connection to Josephus, where there were harpooning real men in actual water. And he thought that somehow there's a relationship between what the Gospels say about fishers of men and literally, I believe Titus was harpooning humans in water, actually fishing them out, real men out of the water. But I only heard that from a long time ago. That was a while back. Other than that, I'm not really sure, but there might be a couple like Jeremiah 6:16. Yeah, that's the one you were talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't really know many others. I mean, maybe there's other material in the Greek world that I haven't dug into. Not really sure. Appreciate the super chat, Jesuit Slayer. Thanks. I don't know about the Belial one. I'd need to see a primary source that shows this. Be happy to check that out. Any evidence you have, feel free to email me, mythvisionpodcast@gmail.com. Let me see what evidence you have and why you're saying Belial. Where's that at? And how's it fishers of men? Curious. Anyway, go subscribe to Dalton. or you be damned forever in all eternity. And that's not a made-up myth. I'm not making this up. It's facts.
Yeah. In a world full of men like these guests, be a Dalton. Also travel in groups and stay safe. Thank you, Contra Deity. Mwah.
Absolutely. Dalton's a fantastic. Oh, I didn't realize we had more. Okay. So we have one more then. Jesuit Slayer is back again. Let me put this another way. How do the dietary teachings, government subjugation, and monetary expansionist teachings of Christ differ from Belial?
Well, Belial is another name for Satan, and Belial doesn't have any teachings on any of these topics. It's just a term that was used in the Dead Sea Scrolls as an alternative for Satan, probably a reference to Baal. And it's only used a couple times in the New Testament, primarily, I think, in Paul's works. He mentions Belial.
Interesting. How did the dietary teachings, government subjugation, and monetary expansionist teachings of Christ, expansionist, monetary? That's a very odd statement. I just interviewed Bart Ehrman on this topic about money right before we went live. I was talking to Dalton about this, and he's saying sell everything you have and come follow him. So I don't get the super chat. That's kind of hard for me. Do you understand it, Dalton?
I do not. I did the best I could with it.
Yeah, because a lot of this apocalyptic idea is that the end's going to happen soon. So he's not concerned with the idea of the earth, this right now. He's concerned with what is about to happen, that apocalyptic end. Anyway, if you have any, more primary sources, email them to me because I'm curious what you're talking about. Thank you. Dalton, shameless plug to my wife, too. MVP courses, MVP-courses.com. We have academic courses where you can go and sign up. It helps what we do here. It keeps the lights on. It helps the wife, the queen of heaven, Asherah, a.k.a. Ryan. And she works very hard to produce and edit and create these courses with bona fide PhDs who've spent decades and decades at universities teaching and learning this stuff in original languages, primary sources, the whole nine. And here you have them at your own computer, in your underwear, or no underwear at all. You can be being pegged while watching this. It doesn't matter. It's all at your own pace. Sincerely, I hope you actually do go check out the courses for real. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to hang out with me, Dalton.
Absolutely. Anytime, bud.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like the video, comment down below, share it with a friend, family, whoever, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks, Dalton.
See.
Son, do you want to know what the truth is? After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill and you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.